Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Tower Defense Era. My base is 100 million points stronger. Chapter 61. Ding, you picked up the level 2 Sentry Tower upgrade blueprint. Ding, you picked up a lot of wood plus 40. Ding, you picked up the blueprint for building a small laser tower. The dropped items were picked up by Su Ming. When he was picking up the items, it was time for the transformation of several bone warriors who had not died in battle, and they all turned into a pool of bones. At this time, he also finished picking up the items, got into the chariot, and drove the chariot around the base for a few times. Today's defense is very rewarding. All kinds of construction resources have broken 2000, and there are 2 construction blueprints. Level 2 Sentry Tower Upgrade Blueprint. Description. After use, you can upgrade the Sentry Tower from level 2 to level 3 to obtain a wider detection range. Construction resources. Wood 200, stone 200, iron ore 200. Su Ming will directly use the upgrade blueprint. In an instant, the drawing turned into countless light spots and dissipated. Boom! The original Sentry Tower was wrapped in light, and the huge phantom gradually solidified and became concrete. Update completed. A moment later, a level 3 Sentry Tower appeared, and its height was already 5 meters higher than other defense towers. Watch Tower. Level 3. Detection range 500 meters. After the upgrade, the detection range of the Sentry Tower has more than doubled. Su Ming looked outside, and saw that the Sentry Tower emitted a brighter light, and at the same time, the illuminated area expanded a large area. Immediately afterwards, he took out another drawing. Small Laser Tower Construction Blueprint. Description. After construction, a small laser tower that can be placed on a tank. Construction materials. Wood 200, stone 200, refined iron 100, energy gem 1. After reading the introduction, Su Ming was surprised. He remembered that there were 4 turret installation positions on the Tempest. And this small laser tower can be placed on a tank. As for the energy gemstone, he remembered seeing it in the Points Mall. He quickly opened the Points Mall and started searching. Sure enough, he saw it in the next second. Energy Gem 1 equals 2000 points. Description. A gemstone that can provide a huge amount of energy. After the energy is used up, it can automatically absorb various energy for recovery. 2000 points are not expensive, he exchanged them directly. You spend 2000 points to get an energy gem. As soon as the reminder was over, a palm-sized round gemstone appeared in his hand. The gem was shining brightly as soon as it appeared, and the light it emitted was a bit brighter than the white light of the Sentry Tower. Get the energy gem. He took out the construction blueprint of the small laser tower and used it directly. After the corresponding resources were consumed, the blueprint also directly scattered into a beam of light spots, forming a phantom of a defense tower. A few seconds later, the phantom appeared concretely. A defense tower nearly half a meter high came into view. The bottom of this laser tower is cylindrical, but it is conical when it goes up. There is a gap at the top, and a white light shines through it, which should be the laser emission point. At this time, a text appeared on the laser tower. It can be placed on a storm tank. Is it installed? Yes. Su Ming blinked, and the laser tower had been placed in the turret groove of the storm tank. Small Laser Tower. Level 1. Attack Method. Laser Cannon. Fire a laser cannon at a very fast speed, causing penetrating light attribute damage to the enemy. Each attack consumes 10 energy. Attack range 200 meters. Energy 2000. Energy recovery 2 per second. Remarks. Automatic attack and manual attack can be set. It can only launch 200 attacks when it is full of energy, but it cannot be launched casually. Su Ming directly set it to manual attack, and at the same time decided to try the power of the laser tower. He controlled the laser tower and aimed at the corpse of the blood-striped python in the distance. Attack. As soon as he gave the command, Su Ming saw a stream of light flying in front of his eyes, and his eyes had no time to catch the stream of light. Chi. Turning around, Su Ming saw that a fist-sized blood hole had appeared on the blood-striped python's head, and the edge of the wound was scorched black by intense laser burns. Moreover, after the laser beam passed through the head of the blood-striped python, it shot out a deep hole in the ground. Its penetrating power is evident. So fierce. Su Ming looked shocked. The arrows shot from the bone arrow tower before could only be shot into one arrow. This penetrating ability is probably inferior to armor-piercing arrows. With the laser tower, the defensive ability of the storm chariot has been improved a bit. After testing the lethality of the laser tower, Su Ming returned to the house with satisfaction. He walked to the refrigerator and took out a glass of iced spirit fruit wine. Taking a sip happily, he opened the trading platform. The transaction information of poisonous attribute materials has been on the top for a day, but no one came to him for a transaction. Unfortunately, as long as one more material is collected, the Wandu Tower can be upgraded. However, he is not in a hurry. The base does not lack the defense of Wandu Tower. However, the spiritual fruit is used up, and there is no material for brewing fruit wine. Need to collect a little more fruit tree seeds for planting. Thinking of this, he took a sip of spirit fruit wine and directly entered fruit tree seeds in the search bar. Suddenly, densely packed fruit tree seeds appeared. Peach tree seed 1, requirement, refined iron 5. Redberry seed 1, requirement, wood 30. Spiritual fruit seed 1, requirement, stone 25. Seeds are inexpensive and come in a variety of varieties. Su Ming directly exchanged for 3 different varieties of fruit tree seeds, ready to plant. With the 3 seeds in hand, Su Ming went outside directly with the shovel in hand. Outside the house, after the spiritual fruit tree planted before bears fruit, the dense green leaves begin to turn yellow and fall off, and they cannot bear fruit again for the time being. Su Ming looked at the planting area. He dug the first hole 2 or 3 meters away from the spirit fruit tree, and he dug 2 more holes according to this distance. Then, he buried the 3 seeds he had traded into the pits and filled them with soil. Immediately afterwards, he opened the points mall again, exchanged 3 bags of ripening agent, and used water to irrigate the seeds respectively. The entire planting process is done in one go, and it only takes 5 days for these fruit trees to mature and bear fruit. Su Ming clapped his hands, went back to the house, and fell asleep directly. Time flies by. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. These 2 days, Su Ming spent leisurely. At this moment, it was already night, and he had just finished defending against the attacks of disaster creatures, picked up the dropped items, and returned to the base. In the past 2 days, the seeds of the planted fruit trees have broken through the ground. The long trunks are already half the height of a person, and the lush green leaves are slightly swaying under the breeze. Walking into the house, he habitually opened the chat channel. Ding ding ding. As soon as he opened the chat channel, he saw that the private message bar was flashing non-stop, and the number of messages had reached 99 plus. What's the situation? Su Ming was dumbfounded. In the past 2 days, he didn't post information on the trading platform and chat channel to buy items. How could so many people contact him? Did something big happen? He opened the private message suspiciously, and messages appeared one after another. Is Mr. Su Ming here? I have the flame gem here, do you still need it? Boss, they are all in the same area, save the children. Great God, I have construction drawings here, take a look, attached. Boss Su Ming, come back to me, I'll exchange poison attributed materials with you for construction resources. After reading it, Su Ming was even more confused. What's going on here? Why are so many people looking for him to trade, and the items they brought out even made him a little bit excited. You must know that these items are rarely traded by people, and all of them are hidden, but now they are all anxious to trade with him like ants on a hot pot. He was suspicious for a while, and was going to open the chat channel to see what happened. At this point, the messages in the chat information have been brushed to the brim. Has anyone contacted Mr. Su Ming? I want to exchange construction resources. No, I've sent dozens of private messages, but I haven't replied yet. Did you block me? Crying, I didn't get in touch either. I didn't get in touch either. Is there any brother who can trade some construction resources with me? Come on, everyone is short of resources. Only Su Ming, who has resisted the projection of 2 calamity gates, may not lack construction resources. Originally, I got the blueprints for the construction of special defense towers, but I lack resources for construction. Why don't I exchange resources to build more ordinary defense towers? As soon as he opened it, he saw that all these people wanted to contact him. Su Ming blindly sent a message. Su Ming. Why contact me? What happened? When his message was sent out, the chat message stagnated for a few seconds and then exploded. Mr. Su Ming, you finally came out. Boss Su Ming, please read the message I sent you. Yes, my legs are numb. Boss, don't you know? The disaster frenzy is coming. Yeah, according to previous experience, the catastrophe frenzy is coming in a couple of days. And the calamity frenzy is stronger every time, this third time must be more dangerous. How many portal projections of disaster will befall this catastrophe frenzy? 5, 8. I don't know, but it must be more than last time. God bless you not to come to my base. In any case, we must strengthen the base's defense capabilities to survive. Calamity frenzy. After watching for a few minutes, Su Ming suddenly understood why these people were so eager. Is it the disaster frenzy that is coming? But did not receive a prompt ah. He lowered his head and thought for a while, and suddenly realized that there was a gap of 3 or 4 days between the previous 2 calamity frenzy. And now the second calamity frenzy is just in line with this time. It dawned on him. There is a high probability that a catastrophe frenzy is coming, and the degree of danger this time must be higher than before. These people hold some blueprints or special supplies and have no resources to build them, so they want to trade them out and exchange them for construction resources to improve the base's defense capabilities. And most people don't have enough construction resources for themselves, so how could they trade them out? This feeling is good. I have a lot of construction resources. After 2 nights of fighting, his various construction resources are already 5 or 6,000. It seems that many good things can be exchanged for. With this in mind, he opened the private message and began to look at the items that were useful to him. Toxic material. Requires 100 wood and 100 stone. Okay, change it. Flame gem. Wind runes. Deals. Just as he was trading, a blood-red notification suddenly appeared, directly covering the entire channel. Warn. 1 day later, the calamity frenzy will strike again. Warn. 1 day later, the catastrophe frenzy will strike again. Everyone please get ready, collect all resources, and enhance the defense capabilities of your base. Caution. In this frenzy, 10 disaster gate projections will randomly appear in each area, and a large number of elite disaster creatures will descend from them. The reminder message appears 3 times in a row and sticks to the top of all channels. In an instant, everyone saw the news, and everyone in the chat channel fell into a brief silence. Then, as if the fuse had been ignited, everyone exploded. The disaster frenzy is really coming again. The catastrophe frenzy in the dog day is really punctual. Cracked, I've run out of resources. 10 door projections of disaster, this is not letting people live. Sell construction blueprints at a low price, does anyone need it? Boss Su Ming, call me back, I want to trade construction resources. Just now everyone was still discussing in the channel, but now that the reminder came, many people couldn't hold back anymore and wanted to exchange resources even more eagerly. At this time, Su Ming also saw the reminder that the disaster frenzy was coming. However, he was smiling and exchanging items with some people, looking calm. It has to be said that this disaster frenzy directly exploded the good things hidden by many people. He exchanged all the items that were useful to him. 10 minutes passed, the transaction was completed, and the channel was closed immediately after the harvest was full. At this time, he walked to the edge of the Wandu Pagoda, and a long and pointed fang appeared in front of him, which looked like the tooth of some monster. Bone erosion fangs. Description. Special poison material, which is the best item for quenching poison. Ding, poisonous material was detected, is it absorbed? Absorb. Immediately, the bone-corroding fangs turned into a stream of light and poured directly into the 10,000 poison tower. After a while, the Wandu Pagoda absorbed it completely, and the third white stripe was activated and flashed with light. Ding, the Wandu Tower has absorbed enough materials and is upgrading. Wan Poison Tower. Type. Special Defense Tower. Level. LV2. Amount of poisonous material absorbed, 0/5. Active. Poisonous mist. The tower of 10,000 poisons will eject highly toxic mist, causing continuous poison damage within a range of 20 m*20 meters, consuming 50 points of energy per second. Passive. Poison explosion. The corpses of enemy units killed by the Wan Poison Tower will explode, causing continuous poison damage within a range of 3 meters * 3 meters. Additional effects: weakness, corrosion. Attack range: 400 meters. Charge limit: 1000/5000. Charging speed: 5 per second. After the upgrade, the properties of the Wandu Pagoda have doubled significantly. The range of toxic fog has more than doubled, and there is an additional passive, poison explosion. It is simply a big killer to deal with dense disaster biomes. Su Ming bowed his head in thought for a few seconds, opened the construction panel, and directly built 30 catapults. Immediately afterwards, they were all raised into megalithic towers. The passive of the megalithic tower has area damage, and is also suitable for defending against large-scale disaster creature impacts. Then, he came to the edge of the smelting furnace and began to refine refined iron, preparing to refine armor-piercing arrows. Refining refined iron was a slow process, and he didn't finish it until the sky was gray and bright. Plus the previous ones, there are a total of 800 armor-piercing arrows. So far, his construction resources have basically been converted into defensive capabilities, and the remaining construction resources are less than 100. Immediately afterwards, he opened the points mall, and the number of his points was displayed on the top: 21,710. These points were his inventory during this period. A minute later, he found a satisfactory item. Second order module upgrade crystal, 3,000 points. Now, his defense tower has a total of 9 modules, and his points for upgrading all of them are still close. He directly exchanged 21,000 points for 7 crystals. After thinking about it for a while, he decided to upgrade the attack speed module 2, damage module 2, range module 2 and charging module 1. After 10 times the attack speed is upgraded, it becomes 20 times the attack speed. After the 5 times damage is upgraded, it becomes 10 times damage. After the triple range is upgraded, it becomes quadruple range. After the charging module is upgraded to the 3rd level, it will increase 8 points of energy per second. More than 20,000 points have bottomed out, and the attributes of each defensive tower have been greatly improved. Now, his special defensive towers are: Level 2 1 Poison Tower 1, Level 2 Flame Tower 1, Level 1 Ice Tower 1, Level 1 Lightning Tower *1. Common towers include 100 Bone Arrow Towers plus 800 Armor-Piercing Arrows, 70 Megalithic Towers. The base's defense capability is directly full. Steady. Su Ming had a confident look on his tired face. Having not slept all night, he yawned, threw himself on the big bed, and fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up, it was almost evening, and the red light of the setting sun was shining on his face through the window. Su Ming flipped a carp straight up, and walked slowly up the stone wall. Looking around, the entire plain was endless, not even a single calamity creature. He opened the chat channel, and a countdown had already appeared on the blood-red text on the top. The countdown to the disaster frenzy: 0 hours 58 minutes and 12 seconds. There was less than an hour left. Suddenly, he frowned and remembered something, looked up and looked around. A minute later, with a sad face on his face, he finally confirmed one thing. What about the projection of the door of disaster? On the stone wall, the breeze caresses the face. Su Ming felt a little uncomfortable. In this catastrophe frenzy, there is no projection of the gate of disaster beside his base. He has spent all his resources, and he has done enough to deal with the coming of the projection of the door of disaster. But now he didn't even see the shadow of the black vortex. Isn't there 10 projections of disaster gates in this calamity frenzy? Is there not one next to my base? Su Ming looked helpless. For others, the projection of calamities is a symbol of death. But for him, every calamity frenzy is a moment of harvest. Without the projection attack of the calamity gate, the harvest of resources has been reduced by at least half. After stopping for a moment, he opened the chat channel. The catastrophe frenzy was coming in less than an hour, and everyone expressed their worries and unease in the group. There are still 40 minutes, and the disaster frenzy is coming. Whoever has more stones, I'll exchange them with drinking water. It's over, there is a projection of a door of disaster on the side of my base. Brother, you are too unlucky. Brother, it's all right, Boss Su Ming is still alive and well after holding 2 doors of disaster. Nima, can I compare with him? While everyone was discussing, time passed by every minute. As night fell, the countdown to the arrival of the disaster frenzy also returned to zero. In the depths of the endless darkness, a strange wave suddenly erupted, spreading around like ripples. The next moment, everyone felt this wave of fluctuations, as if they were being suppressed by a mountain, feeling extremely dull. At the same time, under the influence of this strange fluctuation, the calamity creature crawling in the darkness suddenly opened its scarlet eyes. Countless monsters were awakened at the same time. Rumble. There was a huge amount of roaring in the darkness, and then the whole world seemed to be cracked. Countless calamity creatures came out, and the ground shook slightly. All the people stationed at their base looked into the darkness with heavy eyes. The sound of shaking and roaring was getting closer. At the same moment, a huge disaster creature broke into everyone's field of vision, and then, as if the fuse was ignited, densely packed disaster creatures rushed out like a tide. Tier 3. There are a lot of calamity creatures of Tier 3. 4th rank. Why is there still a 4th rank? There are elite monsters. In the channel, countless people vented their fear. At this moment, Su Ming yawned boredly. The field of view provided by the 3rd level sentry tower is very wide. It can be clearly seen that at the intersection of darkness and white light, the corpses of disaster creatures have been connected into one piece. As soon as they were exposed, they were smashed to pieces by the roaring boulders. After the attack speed of the boulder tower is upgraded, 4 boulders are projected in 1 second, completely blocking their way forward. In this attack, quite a few Tier 4 monsters have appeared. But after the boulder tower has a 10-fold damage bonus, if the boulder is hit and explodes again, the 4th level monsters will be disabled even if they are not dead. The only difference from the low-level monsters is that they can resist a little more attacks at most. Too weak. Su Ming looked around the base. These disaster creatures rushed to a distance of 20 meters at most and died suddenly. No defensive pressure at all. But there are very few points rewards, and the growth is too slow. Tread. Suddenly, dense and noisy vibrations came from the darkness. Su Ming looked over. 2 thick and long tentacles protruded from the darkness. What is this? His face was a little startled. The next moment, a gigantic flat head protruded, with a pair of compound eyes on both sides of the head, and 2 thick and long hook-like palatal teeth under it. Just a head is 3 meters in size. How huge the whole body will be. After a few seconds, his body was gradually exposed. The body of this monster is composed of sections, with densely packed legs on both sides. Each section of the body is covered with a hard carapace, reflecting a cold light under the white light. 4th order millipede demon insect mutation. Mutations. It is still a 4th order mutant creature. Su Ming was a little dignified. At this time, the body of the monster insect has been completely exposed, which is more than 20 meters long. Swish. A piece of boulder has already aimed at the millipede insect and roared away. In an instant, these boulders smashed on the monsters. Compared with the monster worm, the boulder is like a small stone, not half the size of a monster worm. Bang bang. After hundreds of boulders hit it, it exploded the next moment. There were continuous explosions, and countless finely broken stones stirred up, hitting the carapace with clangs. This round of attack didn't even break the monster's carapace, and couldn't even stop it from moving forward. It's pretty tough. Seeing the monster insect getting closer and closer, Su Ming looked very indifferent. A few seconds later, when he stepped into the attack range of the special defense tower, Su Ming directly controlled the Wandu tower to aim at it. Toxic fog. All of a sudden, a cloud of greenish-black mist suddenly enveloped it. Clap. Suddenly, there was a crackling sound in the poisonous fog. Chuck. The 1,000-legged demon worm twisted its body, kicking its densely packed feet rapidly. When it managed to escape from the poisonous mist, the carapace on its body was already torn, corroded into pits the size of fists, and sticky liquid flowed out. The 1,000-legged demon insect was furious, its eyes were full of ferocity, and it ran wildly to the base in the distance. At this moment, the dark sky suddenly burst into flames. Wall of flame. A 10-meter-high wall of flames suddenly appeared, and the millipede worm didn't stop, and rushed in, its huge head being swallowed by the flames. A few seconds later, the elongated head of the 1,000-legged demon worm rushed out of the fire wall first. I saw that the tentacles on its head had been curled up by the high temperature, and they fell powerlessly to the ground. Then, it rushed out of the flames section by section. Su Ming took a closer look, and found that its whole body had been burnt black, and every wound was still crackling. The thousand-legged demon worm twisted its body crazily in pain, and at this moment, an extremely cold feeling radiated out. Ice field. Just after experiencing the high temperature, it was instantly shrouded in ice. Click. There was a crisp sound. At this moment, the carapace on the thousand-legged demon worm's back burst open a crack, and then cracks were densely packed like a spider's web. It is indeed a mutated creature. Even after being so severely injured, it still rushed forward with all its strength. But there are more violent attacks waiting for him ahead of him. Flammastorm. Ball lightning. Armor-piercing arrows. Wave after wave of attacks hit it precisely. A few minutes later. Ding! Your bone arrow tower kills the 4th order millipede monster mutation, and the points plus 2000. The booster sounded, and Su Ming looked around. Less than 50 meters away from the base, the body of the thousand-legged monster worm was covered with scars, its carapace had already collapsed, and its body was covered in huge blood holes, which were filled with densely packed arrows. It's too miserable, I was beaten the whole time. Su Ming couldn't stand it anymore. Because his gaze has been attracted by the dazzling light beside the thousand-legged demon worm. Through the shining light, Su Ming vaguely saw a square box. Treasure chest. Su Ming was shocked and overjoyed. He thought that the treasure chests dropped from the previous few kills of mutant creatures, and good things were opened every time. Su Ming took a deep breath, and quickly glanced around. At this time, under the berserk attack of the giant stone tower, all those disaster creatures were blocked at the intersection of darkness and white light. No danger. After confirming, he hurried down the stone wall, ready to pick up the treasure chest. Suddenly, he turned his eyes and saw the huge storm chariot. He slapped his head. You can go out in a chariot. Immediately, he opened the iron door of the base, and entered the operating room of the storm chariot. Rumble. After a while, a rough and huge chariot slowly drove out of the base. Soon, he came to the body of the thousand-legged demon worm, pushed open the heavy car door, and jumped down. Ding! You picked up the silver treasure chest. After picking up the treasure chest, Su Ming quickly turned his head and returned to the chariot. Looking at the shining white treasure chest covered with strange patterns, he opened it directly. Ding! You opened the silver treasure chest. Ding! You got the level 1 lightning tower upgrade blueprint. Ding! You have obtained a poisonous material, the core of the devil insect. Ding! You have obtained the blueprint for making an exquisite iron helmet. 3 items were obtained in the silver treasure chest, and Su Ming looked excitedly. Level 1 lightning tower upgrade blueprint. Description. After use, you can upgrade the lightning tower from level 1 to level 2. Construction resources. Wood 1000, stone 1000, iron ore 1000, lightning gem 2, lightning rune * 2. Great, the lightning tower can be upgraded. On to the next item. Nucleus of demonic insects. Description. Special poison material, taken from the poison core of the mutated thousand-eyed demon insect, is an excellent poison-quenching material. It's okay, it can be absorbed by the Wandu tower. Then, he looked at the last item. Delicate iron helmet crafting blueprint. Description. An exquisite iron helmet with an exquisite mask, only the eyes are exposed, which can protect your head very well. Building materials. Fine iron 5, flax 3. After reading the introduction, Su Ming's heart skipped a beat. This iron helmet was made to protect his head very well, and now he is still wearing delicate light armor. When the disaster frenzy passed, he was going to build himself a complete set of protective suits to protect him from head to toe. After sorting out the treasure chest harvest, Su Ming went to the operation room. Under the night vision function of the storm chariot, he could see the silhouettes of densely packed disaster creatures in the darkness. Boom! The chariot accelerated suddenly, dust was flying, and it rumbled towards the outside. In the blink of an eye, the huge storm chariot rushed out. The speed was extremely fast, and I saw a green afterimage passing by like a wind. Su Ming sat steadily in the operating room, and suddenly he glanced at him. The boulders and arrows flying above seemed to be moving behind him. So fast. Su Ming's eyes widened. The speed of the storm chariot was faster than the attack from the defense tower. Turning his gaze, the dense group of disaster creatures in front of him quickly enlarged in his eyes. Next second, bang bang, the huge storm chariot rushed in directly, like no man's land, rampaging through the dense disaster biome, without even slowing down a bit. Ding, your storm chariot kills the third-order calamity creature, your points plus 30. Ding, your storm chariot kills the fourth-order calamity creature, your points plus 40. Intensive kill prompts sounded. Regardless of whether it was a third-order or fourth-order calamity creature, all those who were hit were thrown off their feet. After hitting hundreds of monsters in a row, the storm chariot remained stable, not even shaking. This allowed Su Ming to better understand the powerful defensive capabilities of the storm chariot. Ho ho! During this time, the disaster creatures around roared and frantically surrounded the storm chariot. Seeing the increasingly dense crowd of monsters, Su Ming was not afraid, and even more excited. He drove the chariot and slammed into the densest group of monsters. Bang bang! One by one, the disaster creatures were knocked upside down and flew out. Squeak! After dashing for dozens of meters, he braked suddenly and flicked his tail. Like a dexterous snake, he drew a huge arc on the ground and stirred up thousands of dust. More than a dozen disaster creatures were directly hit by this tail flick, their bones were broken, and they flew out. After turning around, and accelerating sharply, the storm chariot rushed out in an instant. With unstoppable power, he crashed into the dense disaster biome again. All of a sudden, the area was filled with dust. On the ground, those corpses had already been crushed into a pulp. In the sky, from time to time, a large number of disaster creatures flew out like kites with broken strings. It's so cool. It is far more refreshing to drive a storm chariot to actively gallop in the disaster biome than to stay in the base and passively defend. In less than 10 minutes, the group of monsters on this side was bumped into very few by him. Under the night vision of the storm chariot, it can be clearly seen that there are more than a dozen monsters coming in front of it. With such a small amount, he didn't bother to hit it. Turn around and drive towards the dense disaster biome on the other side. With the speed of the storm chariot, it arrived in an instant. Rumble, bang bang bang. All of a sudden, pieces of calamity creatures fell down like grass. Half an hour later, Su Ming slowly stopped the storm chariot, and he cleaned up the wave of disaster creatures. The outside of the base was already a mess, with fragmented corpses everywhere, and large swaths of blood flowed out, dyeing the ground dark red. Boom! Pushing open the heavy car door, Su Ming jumped off. Immediately, a strong bloody smell hit his nostrils. He walked over to a few groups of objects emitting white light, and began to harvest the spoils of the night. Ding! You picked up a lot of wood, your wood plus 50. Ding! You picked up the blueprint for crafting exquisite leggings. The scattered items were collected one by one, and after more than 10 minutes, he drove the storm chariot back to the base. He took stock of today's harvest. All kinds of construction resources add up to less than 2,000. Not as much as the last wave of disaster frenzy. It seems that the only way to get rich is to deal with the projection of the door of disaster. After cleaning up the resources, he opened the chat channel. My arrow tower was blown up by a tier 3 skeleton shooter. Wait online, hurry up. Is there a way to quickly kill tier 4 calamity creatures? Agreed. Go Ree's 4th order black scaled beetle can't be moved. Is there a boss trading construction resources? I can't stand it anymore. Ho ho. Su Ming looked at the chat channel for a while, and suddenly there was another soaring roar from all over the base. Again, Su Ming immediately turned off the channel and walked up to the dirt wall. In the darkness around the base, dense red lights suddenly lit up. He frowned. Why is this red light so familiar? When Su Ming was puzzled. In the darkness, thick tentacles suddenly stretched out, rippling up and down. Tentacles, red light. This is the thousand-eyed nightmare. At this moment, Su Ming finally remembered why the red light was so familiar. It turned out to be the elite monster encountered in the last calamity frenzy. At this moment, the thousand-eyed nightmare had slowly floated out and was exposed to the white light. It was surrounded by thick black mist, and dense red light came out from it. Seeing the whole picture, Su Ming was finally convinced of his judgment. At this moment, at the same time that the thousand-eyed nightmare appeared, disaster creatures emerged from behind him like a tide, rushing towards his base. Squeak. At this time, the thousand-eyed nightmare made a strange sound, and then saw it shoot red light at the calamity creature in front of it. Immediately, these monsters became more ferocious, and their size rapidly increased while running. Strength and ability. Seeing this, Su Ming was not surprised either. The ability of this thousand-eyed nightmare is exactly the same as that of the previous one, which caused him a lot of trouble before. But now his defensive towers have changed both in quantity and quality. Su Ming is completely unafraid of the thousand-eyed nightmare's attack. Wrong. Su Ming suddenly thought of something and suddenly turned his head to look in other directions. On the left, a thousand-eyed nightmare also appeared. Turning around and looking behind, there was one too. On the right, there is another one. Su Ming was startled. On all four sides of his base, a thousand-eyed nightmare appeared. A whole four. Am I stabbing the lair of the thousand-eyed nightmare? Or are you here to avenge the previous one? Su Ming thought about it. At the same time, those hundreds of strengthened disaster creatures have rushed over. Swish. The roar of boulders piercing through the air had already rang in his ears. Hundreds of boulders were thrown at the disaster creatures around the base. Boom, boom. Most of the boulders smashed directly into the dense disaster biome, and then exploded directly, and the hard and sharp gravel storm directly swallowed the disaster creatures one by one. Minus 1,520. Minus 1,630. Minus 1,458. With 10 times the module bonus, the damage of the boulder tower directly exploded, killing most of the disaster creatures directly, and a small number of disaster creatures with residual blood were also directly blasted to death by the second boulder that followed. Even if they have been strengthened, they cannot break through the defense line of the megalithic tower. Seeing that there was no problem with the defense, Su Ming set his gaze directly on a thousand-eyed nightmare. He knew very well in his heart that only the thousand-eyed nightmare could pose a threat to his base. Now, he will directly destroy this threat. And the second time he met them, Su Ming knew that they had two forms. One is under the protection of the black mist, the defense is strong, but the speed is slow. The other is that the black mist is cleared away, revealing the real body. At this time their defense is weak, but the speed is extremely fast. So the best way is to kill them directly the moment the black mist is cleared up. And those who can meet this condition, the lightning tower can. In addition, the storm chariot can also be used. Whether it is the main gun of the tank or the laser tower, the rate of fire is extremely fast, and they can hit the target at the moment of attack. With this in mind, Su Ming drove the chariot out of the base again. Boom. After leaving the base, the chariot suddenly accelerated. In a few seconds, it stopped at a distance of less than 100 meters from a thousand-eyed nightmare. The storm air cannon adjusted its direction and aimed at the thousand-eyed nightmare. Storm air cannon, launch. Boom. As soon as the order was given, Su Ming saw a stream of light flashing in front of his eyes. Boom. In the next second, the air cannon had already bombarded the thousand-eyed nightmare with precision, and the tentacles exposed to the black mist were instantly strangled into minced meat. Chi-chi. Immediately afterwards, the black mist began to defend, and the large black mist directly turned into white smoke. After this shot, the dense black mist instantly became extremely thin, and the appearance of the thousand-eyed nightmare could already be faintly seen. And at this moment, a flash of light blasted out again. In an instant, it hit the thousand-eyed nightmare again. Boom. This cannon directly turned the black mist into nothingness, and then the storm cannon's power remained undiminished, and it bombarded the thousand-eyed nightmare itself. Bark. This shot directly passed through the middle of the body, leaving a huge blood hole. Ding. Your storm chariot kills the 4th order thousand-eyed nightmare elite, your points plus 400. Just 2 shots, directly killed the elite monsters. This shows the power of the storm air cannon. Beside the body of the thousand-eyed nightmare, a ball of dazzling white light suddenly flashed, and the item exploded. However, he still has to deal with other thousand-eyed nightmares, so he has no time to pick them up. The chariot suddenly turned around, accelerated, and ran towards another thousand-eyed nightmare. At this moment, Su Ming frowned. I saw that the 3,000-eyed nightmares in front of me had gathered together at some point. Moreover, 2 of them focused all the red light on the other thousand-eyed nightmare. In just a few seconds, the other 2 nightmares shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. And the strengthened nightmare was glowing red all over, and his body quickly swelled up. At this time, the storm air cannon also aimed at the strengthened nightmare. Boom! The storm air cannon fired instantly, and a stream of light shot out. At this time, Nightmare suddenly shot a red beam of light at the air cannon. In an instant, the two collided in the air. Boom! Immediately, two strands of energy exploded, and strong winds blew all around. A few calamity creatures nearby were directly strangled into pieces, but the strengthened nightmare was unharmed. So fierce. Su Ming was a little surprised, but quickly adjusted. The next moment, the storm air cannon fired again. Seeing this, the thousand-eyed nightmare quickly gathered a beam of light and was about to shoot it out. At this time, toxic mist. Su Ming secretly controlled the Wandu Tower and directly enveloped the nightmare. Chi. The green mist immediately began to corrode the black mist, and large swaths of white air floated up. Being disturbed, Nightmare's body suddenly began to tremble, and the gathered red light dissipated for a while before shooting out. Boom! The air cannon instantly hit the red light. But this time, the air cannon directly destroyed it with the force of crushing, and finally bombarded the nightmare. At the same time, the laser cannon also began to attack. Bew! Laser beams shot out suddenly, faster than air cannons. In an instant, it shot directly at the nightmare, and immediately the large black mist dissipated. At this time, the laser cannon was still firing continuously, and the air cannon was fired one by one. In less than half a minute, all the black mist of the nightmare was blown away, revealing the ball-like body. Bew! Seeing this, the laser tower fired more violently, with full firepower, and the terrifying rate of fire made it impossible for Su Ming to see the trajectory of the ballistic at all. But in the blink of an eye, he saw that the nightmare's body was riddled with holes, with blood holes the size of fists appearing. Boom! The enhanced nightmare crashed to the ground. The remaining two weakened thousand-eyed nightmares were easier to deal with, and they were bombarded into sieves in less than half a minute. Su Ming let out a long sigh of relief, with a look of joy on his face. After killing 3 nightmare demons, he also exploded a bunch of items. He looked around, and the disaster creatures at this time were completely unable to break through the defensive circle. He got off the chariot safely and walked over to the item. Ding! You picked up the movement card in the base area. Ding! You picked up the level 2 base upgrade blueprint. Base mobile card. Base area mobile card. Description: in the same area, you can instantly move the base to any designated location. Su Ming's eyes widened. Can he still move the base? This is a good thing. If the base is in danger, the base can be moved directly to another location. But now he was more concerned about another blueprint. Base upgrade drawings. Level 2 base upgrade blueprint. Description: you can upgrade the base from level 2 to level 3, with a wider area, and will unlock the Guardian Spirit function. Construction materials: wood 2000, stone 2000, iron ore 2000, refined iron 500, earth gem 1, earth rune 1. Unlock a new feature: Guardian Spirits. Su Ming was shocked immediately. Originally, he thought that after upgrading the base, the area of the base would only become larger and more defensive towers could be built, but he did not expect to unlock new functions. According to its introduction, the Guardian Spirit should be an individual with wisdom, and its ability is to protect its own safety. At that time, accompanied by the Guardian Spirit, you can drive the chariot out to explore. Thinking of this, Su Ming took a deep breath. There are gems and runes to upgrade the base. He opened the trading platform directly. At this time, there is a lot of transaction information on the trading platform, most of which require construction resources. Su Ming clicked on the search bar and directly entered keywords. Immediately, there were only a few pieces of transaction information left on the panel. Earth rune. Requirements: 200 stone. Earth gem. Requirements: 50 refined iron. It just so happens that the base upgrade materials are available. Spending 200 stones, he directly exchanged them for earth runes. But refined iron still needs to be refined. After thinking about it, he decided to pick up the items dropped by the base first. At this time, after the death of the 4,000-eyed demons, the remaining disaster creatures have almost been killed. Groups of objects fell to the ground, exuding dazzling light. Driving the chariot, Su Ming quickly picked up these items. After more than 10 minutes, He returned to the base, got off the car and came to the edge of the melting furnace. Light a fire and put in a piece of iron ore. More than half an hour later, 50 refined iron was refined. He opened the trading platform and directly exchanged the earth gem for his hand. So far, all the materials have been obtained. The only thing left to do is to extract refined iron to upgrade the base. Beside the smelting furnace, Su Ming rubbed his hands excitedly and poured pieces of iron ore into it. In half an hour, 50 or 60 refined irons can be harvested. At this speed, 500 refined irons can be extracted in less than 10 hours. Before I knew it, the sky was already gray and bright. During this period of time, another wave of disaster creatures struck. But he didn't care. Tian Duo was killed by his defense towers in minutes. At this time, the refined iron is only short of the last furnace and enough is enough. While waiting, Su Ming opened the chat channel. At this moment, a line of text suddenly appeared in the middle of the channel. This calamity frenzy has ended, and the number of kills for each person is being counted, and the kill leaderboard is being generated. The higher the ranking, the richer the rewards. Countdown to leaderboard generation. 0 hours 29 minutes and 0 seconds. This is the end. So soon. Su Ming was a little surprised, but also a little speechless. He is still thinking about making a few more waves. In this catastrophe frenzy, his gains are not even comparable to the previous one. Fortunately, I killed the 4th order mutant monster and 4,000-eyed demons, otherwise the harvest would be shabby. At this time, everyone who saw the prompt started discussing in the chat channel. Ha ha ha, it's finally over, I'm still alive. What the hell, this wave of catastrophe wiped out all of Lao Su's property, and half of the defense tower was directly destroyed. Yeah, it's too difficult, my city wall has been flattened. Nearly 2,000 people died in this wave of disaster. 20% of the people died in a wave of disaster frenzy. This death rate is too terrifying. Where are the brothers next to the projection of the Calamity Gate? Are they still alive? Don't ask, I have added them as friends, and they are all dead. This disaster frenzy actually has a kill leaderboard. Haha, I have killed more than 1,000, and I will definitely be able to get rewards on the list. The leader of the leaderboard hasn't spoken yet, you're thinking about farting. Those who survived swiped messages one after another. At this time, Su Ming closed the chat channel. Iron ore smelting is complete, plus 50. Refined iron assembled. This furnace of refined iron was refined, and his refined iron was exactly 500 pieces. Finally the base can be upgraded. Su Ming was overjoyed. Taking a deep breath, he slowly calmed down his excited mood. Take out the base upgrade blueprint and use it directly. Ding, corresponding resources are being consumed, the base is being upgraded. The base upgrade blueprint instantly turned into countless light spots, pouring into the base. Boom. The next moment, a violent roar sounded, as if an earthquake had struck, and the surrounding buildings trembled slightly. The same thing lasted for more than 10 minutes, and finally stopped slowly. Ding, your base has successfully upgraded to level 3. Ding, you have successfully unlocked the Guardian Spirit function. In the chat channel, the countdown of the leaderboard statistics is less than 5 minutes. Everyone is waiting, hoping that they have a good ranking and can get better rewards. At this time, they were discussing intensely in the channel, and even those who were at the top of the ranking last time also participated. Meng Shuier, the leaderboard will come out in 4 minutes, I'm really looking forward to it. Owen, this time, I am very confident that I will win the first place and receive the best reward. Is this the strength of Boss Owen? I'm crying, I still want to enter the top 100, but Mr. Owen has already reached the top of the list. Suddenly, in the chat channel, a world announcement floated in the center, directly covering everyone's chat information. Human Su Ming took the lead in resisting disaster creatures, successfully upgraded the base to level 3, became the first level 3 base in the world, and was the first to unlock the Guardian Spirit function, rewarding the Guardian Spirit Summoning Scroll 1. At this moment, the chat channel is completely boiling. What? Su Ming has been promoted to a 3rd level base. How did he do it? It's too fierce. I'm only a 1st level base, and everyone else has a 3rd level base. The gap is too big. Kneel to Mr. Su Ming. Same way. Boss, do you think my kneeling posture is correct? Numerous pieces of information frantically swiped the screen, and the pot was blown up in an instant. Owen. Oh my car. Mr. Su Ming, you are so shocking. Meng Shuier. We're still discussing the ranking here. Su Ming has silently raised the base to level 3. The gap is getting bigger and bigger. The people at the top of the leaderboard also bowed to Su Ming, bubbling in the chat channel. My god, where did Su Ming get so many resources? That's right, my family is empty and I don't even have enough upgrade resources for a level 2 base. By the way, what's the use of that guardian spirit? I don't think my guardian spirit has been unlocked yet. Should the base be upgraded to level 3 to unlock it? I don't know, only Su Ming has unlocked it now, and only he knows the specific function. Boss Su Ming, come out and tell everyone. The people who had just experienced the frenzy of disaster were puzzled and shouted. They have shock, they have envy. But there is no doubt that he can be the first to upgrade twice, which shows his strong strength far beyond everyone. This kill leaderboard has been opened. This leaderboard combines the number of monsters killed and the strength of monsters killed, and is ranked by the kill index. The leaderboard only shows the top 10 information, but you can check your own ranking. The top 100 will receive rewards. The higher the ranking, the richer the rewards. When everyone was discussing about Su Ming, time passed unknowingly, and this kill leaderboard was also generated. Finally opened, thank you. Wow, the leaderboard is finally open. The top 100 must have a place for me. Everyone looked at the leaderboard expectantly. As soon as they opened it, they were the first to see their own rankings. Some people ranked high, even entered the top 100, and were able to get rewards, and they were about to jump up happily. And some people are very disappointed that they didn't make it into the top 100. But after reading their own rankings, they all focused on the top 10 people on the list. Now, the ranking of this killing leaderboard has finally revealed the answer. First place, Su Ming, kill index, 10,600. Second place, Meng Shuier, kill index, 5,040. Third place, Owen, kill index, 4,980. Fourth place, Luzhou, kill index, 4,630. Fifth place, Cao Tang, kill index, 4,410. Sixth place. After reading the top 10 rankings, everyone fell into silence. The first place is Su Ming again. And the kill index directly exceeded 10,000, twice that of the second place. This ranking is fake. Why is Su Ming's kill index tens of thousands? Haha, I already guessed that Mr. Su Ming is on the list. It's too unscientific. They are all facing the frenzy of disasters. Why can Su Ming kill so many more monsters than others? Upstairs, the kill index is not only the number of monsters killed, but also the ability to judge the monsters killed. Does anyone know how the kill index is calculated? Ghost knows how, but that doesn't stop me from shouting 666 to Su Ming. I found that where there is a ranking, Mr. Su Ming must be the first, and he still won the third place with an absolute advantage. At this moment, everyone was a little numb from the shock of Su Ming. He first upgraded the base to the third level and obtained a world report. Then, once again won the first place in the kill leaderboard. And it still won the first place with a completely crushing momentum. Congratulations for winning the first place in the kill list in this disaster frenzy. You can receive the corresponding reward now, or you can accumulate it in the regional leaderboard. When the regional leaderboard is settled, you will get richer rewards. Quote. Facing the choice, Su Ming thought for a few seconds before opening the regional leaderboard. On the list, he leads everyone with the absolute number of kills. At the top of the list, the countdown to settlement is displayed. There are less than 3 days left. Accumulate this reward. Su Ming made a decision. You choose to accumulate rewards, and when the regional leaderboard is settled, the 2 rewards will be superimposed and issued together. Subsequently, he closed the channel. At this time, his base has been upgraded to the first level. After the upgrade, the area of the base has been expanded from 30 m*30 meters to 50 meters *50 meters. The entire area has nearly doubled in size, and there are empty spaces everywhere in the base, making it appear empty. The stone wall also widened and lengthened, and the originally crowded space also became wider. At least 2 or 3 times as many defensive towers could be built in such an open location. His house has also undergone major changes and has become 2 floors. There are 3 rooms on the 2nd floor, and a wide open-air balcony. Of course, what Su Ming is most concerned about is the Guardian Spirit function unlocked after the base is upgraded. Open the Guardian Spirit panel. 2 large characters recruitment are displayed. Su Ming opened the recruitment, and 3 more options appeared in it. Attack type, defensive, auxiliary. After researching for a while, he still felt that his own life was important, so he chose the defensive Guardian Spirit recruitment option. Ding, you lack Soul Orb 1, recruitment failed. Soul Orb. Su Ming frowned, he had never heard of this Soul Orb, obviously he couldn't recruit it now. Correct. Suddenly, he patted his thigh. I just got a Guardian Spirit recruitment scroll. Suddenly, a golden scroll appeared in his hand. Guardian Spirit recruitment scroll. Description. After use, a Guardian Spirit can be randomly recruited. Sure enough, it can be summoned. Su Ming was overjoyed, and then used the scroll. Recruit. Inside the house, the Guardian Spirit scroll turned into thousands of blue lights. These blue lights rotated and gradually formed a circle of star-shaped patterns in the air, which looked amazing. Subsequently, the star-shaped pattern exudes more and more dazzling light. A human-shaped phantom can be vaguely seen appearing among them. Su Ming's eyes were fixed on the sky, and he couldn't help holding his breath. Suddenly, the void oscillated and rippled like water waves. Su Ming saw that phantom in the sky began to solidify. A few seconds later, the light dissipated, and a delicate figure appeared in front of Su Ming. Ding, you have successfully recruited the Guardian Spirit of the Wind, Leah. The notification sound appeared, because Naruto finally saw her appearance. But in an instant, he was stunned. I saw that this was a little girl with light blue hair, eyes like star diamonds, and delicate skin. Her ears are pointed and long, and there are 2 pairs of transparent wings growing behind her. Looking at her delicate and immature face, she is at most 12 or 13 years old, but her whole body seems to be only 30 centimeters at most. Little girl indeed. Haha, Master, Leah heard your call and came to protect you. When Su Ming was surprised, a childish and sweet sound brought her back to her senses. Leah, are you sure you can protect me? He looked up and down her petite body with an expression of disbelief. HMPH, Master, Leah is very strong. Leah pursed her lips, puffed out her chest, and looked confident. Hearing this, Su Ming didn't answer, and checked Leah's attributes. Guardian Spirit of the Wind, Leah. Type, Special Type. Level, First Level. Loyalty, 80. Skill, Wind Shield IVL. Leah can control the power of the wind, release the wind shield, and resist a lot of damage. Storm Spear V1. Leah gathers the power of the wind to form a storm spear, which will cause penetrating damage to the target. Special Type. Su Ming was puzzled for a while. On the Guardian Spirit recruitment column, there are only Attack Type, Defense Type, and Support Type, but now there is a Special Type. Could it be that the recruitment scroll can recruit other types of Guardian Spirits? After thinking for a while, he didn't know the result. And Leah has 2 skills, 1 defensive skill and 1 offensive skill. But the text description is very general, and he doesn't know whether these skills are strong or not. But in the column of the grades, the big characters, first grade, made Su Ming understand that Leah's strength might not even be as good as her own. Su Ming sighed. I thought that summoning a Guardian Spirit was very powerful, but I didn't expect it to be just a first-order little loli. If she is really in danger, I'm afraid I have to protect her. Master, Leah is hungry. At this time, Leah flew over, her pale blue eyes stared straight at Su Ming, twinkling like 2 little stars. Forehead. Su Ming raised his forehead. Why did he want to eat just after he was summoned? He thought for a while, took out a piece of jerky, and handed it to Leah. It stinks, it's not tasty. Leah covered her nose with a disgusted look on her face. Does it stink? Su Ming smelled it, and a faint meaty smell came to his nostrils. Is it so fragrant or smelly? He murmured. Immediately, he took out another spiritual fruit and handed it over. Where is the spiritual fruit? Leah sniffed, then shook her head slightly. Don't eat meat, don't you eat fruit. What about vegetables? Su Ming took out a bright red and plump tomato. Don't eat. Corn, don't want. Spirit fruit wine. Don't eat, don't eat. Within a few minutes, Su Ming took out all the food that could be eaten, but Leah refused to eat anything. He was speechless. What are you going to eat? Su Ming fiddled around in the room, searching for edible equipment. Boom! Suddenly, a green gemstone fell to the ground. Wind gem. Su Ming was about to pick it up when he saw Leah staring at the gemstone with big eyes, took a deep breath, and looked excited. It smells so good, so good. She flapped her wings, and Su Ming saw Leah disappear in place in an instant, and in a blink of an eye, Leah had already flown to the edge of this gem at some point. Savory. Leah's eyes lit up. She opened her mouth wide, biting the wind gemstone with her white teeth. Seeing this, Su Ming opened his mouth, and saw that a row of tooth marks had appeared on the round wind gem. My wind gem. Su Ming looked distressed and walked over to stop it. This wind gem is a precious item, how can you use it if you bite it? Ding, Leah has eaten delicious food, she is in a happy mood, and her loyalty is +1. This. Su Ming immediately withdrew his outstretched hand, squatting aside and looking at Leah. Is this little guy actually feeding on gemstones? Teeth are fine. Yes, Leah is the guardian spirit of the wind, and cannot be judged by ordinary people's thinking. Maybe her food is something related to the wind attribute, such as wind gems. Su Ming guessed. At this time, the wind element gem has been gnawed clean. Leah finally burped in satisfaction. Master, Leah is full and going to bed. As soon as she finished speaking, Leah flapped her wings and sat firmly on Su Ming's shoulder. He glanced out of the corner of his eye and saw that Leah had closed her eyes. Sleep after eating. Su Ming is so stupid. From recruiting Leah to now, she didn't do anything, and she just went to sleep after eating a wind gem. Is this a guardian spirit? When Su Ming complained, a cold reminder sounded. Your guardian spirit Leah has absorbed enough wind energy and is in the process of upgrading. B. Absorbed enough energy. He froze for a moment, and from the corner of his eye, he saw that Leah was exuding a faint green glow. Can Leah advance and become stronger after eating wind gems? Su Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Good guy. It seems that I will collect more wind gems in the future. After making up his mind, he directly opened the trading platform and started editing the acquisition information. Su Ming. Acquisition. Wind gem. Price. 300 wood, stone, iron ore. Number of transactions. 3. After posting, stick to the top directly. All of a sudden, everyone who was browsing the trading platform saw this message. The transaction is completed. You spend 300 wood and get wind gems 1. The transaction is completed. You spend 300 stones and get wind gems 1. The transaction is completed. You spend 300 stones and get wind gems 1. In less than a minute, he directly obtained 3 wind gems. 3 wind gems, Leah should be able to rise to level 3 after eating them. Su Ming thought expectantly. He turned his head and saw that Leah was sitting on his shoulders, motionless, as light as the wind, without feeling heavy. Su Ming didn't know how long it would take for her to complete the promotion, so she rested on the wicker chair. Time passed by every minute and every second, about an hour later. Several beeps in succession woke him up. Your guardian spirit. Leah, the upgrade is complete. Leah realized the passive skill, Affinity of the Wind. Leah realized the attack skill, Storm Whirlwind. The upgrade is complete. Su Ming rubbed his bleary sleepy eyes, was startled, and quickly turned his head to look. Leah's small body is spinning gracefully in the air. After being promoted, her height seemed to have increased by a few centimeters, and her delicate and warm little face was full of joy. She has a slender figure, wearing green clothes, and her 2 delicate bare feet droop naturally. Seeing Su Ming's gaze, Leah smiled and blinked and said, Master, Leah is stronger. Well done, Leah, Su Ming said with a smile. Ding, Leah is praised by you, she is in a wonderful mood, and her loyalty is +1. It seems that Leah is also an independent individual, and has emotions like human beings. Su Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he checked Leah's advanced attributes. Guardian Spirit of the Wind, Leah. Type. Special type. Grade. 2nd grade. Loyalty. 82. Skill. Wind Shelter IV1. Storm Spear V1. Wind Affinity IV1. Leah is a natural wind elf, very friendly to wind attributes, all of Leah's skill effects +50%, wind energy recovery +100%. Storm Whirlwind IV-1. Leah has further mastered the power of wind, and can gather a strong whirlwind, causing strangle damage to enemies along the way. After upgrading, Leah has 2 more skills and becomes stronger. Turning off the panel, Su Ming looked at Leah with a smile. Leah, are you hungry? Here are 3 wind gems, eat them and you will become stronger. As he spoke, he handed over a wind element gem. Leah can't eat it. Leah rubbed her stomach and said pitifully, okay. Su Ming sighed and took back the gem. It seems that Leah will not be able to advance and become stronger in a short time. Suddenly, he thought that he still had a wind rune, and he didn't know if Leah would eat it or not. Get Qian Jiao. If you eat it, you can also collect wind runes in the future. With this in mind, a palm-sized green rune appeared on Su Ming's palm. Leah, you eat. Wow, what a beautiful pattern. As soon as the wind rune was taken out, Leah rushed over, her big eyes like star diamonds fluttered, staring at the rune intently. At the same time, she stretched out her petite and tender hands and stroked them gently. Just good looking. Useless. Su Ming watched. After a while, the Radao prompt sounded. Ding, your guardian spirit, Leah, is absorbing the power of wind runes, and has a deeper grasp of the power of wind. The passive skill, Affinity of Wind, has been upgraded to level 2. Su Ming exclaimed. This is simply a surprise. At the same time, Naruto got to know Leah better. Wind gems can upgrade Leah, and wind runes can upgrade Leah's skills. At this time, he turned his eyes. I saw that the wind rune in the palm of my hand had lost its luster, looking like an abandoned stone sculpture. It seems that the power contained in this wind rune has been absorbed by Leah, and Leah's loyalty has increased by 1 point. Su Ming thought, opened the trading platform, and edited the transaction information as before. In less than 5 minutes, 3 wind runes were obtained. Su Ming smiled. Leah, come and see the beautiful pattern. Leah is coming. Leah smiled cheerfully, her slender feet landed on Su Ming's wrists. She blinked her long eyelashes twice, staring at the wind rune in Su Ming's palm without moving. Su Ming stared at Leah, and found that strands of pale green light were slowly pouring into Leah's body. This is exactly Leah absorbing the energy of the wind rune. As time passed, the luster emitted by the wind-type runes became increasingly dim, while the light emitted by Leah became more dazzling. In less than 5 minutes, an indifferent reminder sounded. Ding, your guardian spirit, Leah, has absorbed the power of wind runes, and has a deeper grasp of the power of wind. The defensive skill, Wind Shield, has been upgraded to level 2. At the same moment, the wind runes completely lost their luster, and Leah also looked away at this time. She turned her head and stared at Su Ming with cute big eyes. Master, Leah seems to have become stronger again. Leah tilted her head and said with a somewhat uncertain tone. Haha, Leah, you have indeed become stronger. Su Ming smiled, and gently pinched her little face with her hands. Ding, Leah feels your care, loyalty +1. He frowned. Daily communication and interaction should be able to increase Leah's loyalty. Although the increase is not much each time, it is better than a long stream of water. Su Ming turned his thoughts and asked. Is Leah hungry? Leah isn't hungry yet. Leah blinked her crystal clear eyes and shook her head slowly. Does Leah still want to see the pattern? I don't want to watch it. Leah shook her head again. Take it easy. Seeing this, Su Ming didn't force it either. At present, it seems that Leah's daily absorption of gems and runes has an upper limit. But that's fine too. If Leah can absorb gemstone runes without limit, Su Ming really can't afford it. You know, after exchanging 3 gems and runes, he has already spent 1800 units of construction resources. Thinking about it this way, Leah is simply a big resource eater. If it were someone else, they simply wouldn't be able to withstand such a toss. Leah, play by yourself for a while, I'm going to cook. Su Ming patted her on the head lightly, trying to get her off his wrist. No, Leah's first duty is to protect the master, and Leah needs to follow the master all the time. Leah blinked, flapped her wings, and flew directly to his shoulder. Then she found the right position and sat directly on Su Ming's shoulder. This way Leah won't interfere with the master's cooking. Seeing this, Su Ming twisted his shoulders, and found that Leah was sitting steadily and motionless, without any sign of falling, and it did not affect his cooking at all. All right, Su Ming reluctantly agreed. Immediately, he took Leah to work in the kitchen, and finally had a hot dinner. After eating, it's not too early. Su Ming climbed onto the big soft bed. Before going to bed, he habitually opened the chat channel and watched it. People all over the world live alone in the tower defense base, and there are only cold defense towers in the base. Outside the base are endless disaster creatures. Everyone is enduring mental torture in this monotonous and lonely day. Only by swiping the screen frantically in the chat channel and communicating with other people can this feeling of loneliness be relieved. Today, Su Ming closed after watching for a while. Because he is not so lonely now. Leah, go to bed, good night. Good night, man. After saying that, Su Ming closed his eyes. Half asleep and half awake, he felt a mass of warmth suddenly rushing into his arms. He couldn't help but tighten his arms, and fell asleep more comfortably. The next day, a ray of sunlight filtered through the wooden window and fell on Su Ming's face. Su Ming slept comfortably that night. Moving his eyes, he opened his sleepy eyes. Master, you are awake. A tender and sweet voice came from beside my ear. In front of her eyes, a pretty little face appeared, as delicate as a porcelain doll, without any blemishes. Especially those beautiful eyes, like a pool of crystal clear spring water, clear and transparent. Seeing the face so close at hand, Su Ming was momentarily stunned, and then subconsciously blurted out. Leah. After the words fell, Su Ming's consciousness was completely awakened from his deep sleep. He slapped his head, thinking that he now has a guardian spirit. Master, Leah is hungry. Leah looked directly at Su Ming with her big watery eyes, and her long eyelashes blinked from time to time. Hungry. Su Ming quickly took out a wind gem. Fragrant, so fragrant. Leah's eyes lit up like stars, and she landed on Su Ming's hand, and began to eat her breakfast. In a short while, Leah ate up a round and plump wind gem. She patted her belly comfortably and hiccuped lightly. Leah's full, master. After eating, the power of the wind element exuding from Leah's body became more surging, but there was no sign of advancing. Su Ming got out of bed directly. At this time, Leah flapped her wings and sat on Su Ming's shoulder again. As soon as she sat down, the two slender, white legs under her skirt began to rippling gently. Ding, Leah is in a happy mood, loyalty +1. Su Ming was taken aback, turned his head to look at Leah, and walked out of the bedroom with a smile. From last night to this morning, Leah's loyalty has risen to 90 points. Outside the house, the warm sunshine shone on her body, and Su Ming immediately felt warm. Next to the house, the fruit tree is growing vigorously, and it is already as tall as a person. Wait for another 2 days for the fruit trees to mature and bear fruit. The calamity frenzy has just ended, and I have harvested a lot of resources, so I am still busy today. He came to the furnace. Start the CCDF fire, start adding iron ore into it, and wait for the iron ore to be slowly refined into refined iron. During the period, he opened the trading platform and exchanged for delicate gauntlet crafting blueprint, exquisite boot crafting blueprint, and a bundle of flax. In addition to the dropped exquisite leggings crafting blueprint and exquisite iron helmet crafting blueprint, as long as they are crafted, they can be protected from head to toe in all directions. Half an hour later, the refinement of refined iron was completed. Immediately, he directly used these blueprints and began to build them. After a while, all these armors were forged. Su Ming put them all on her body directly. I saw that his whole body was covered by exquisite armor, except for some joints. He could be said to be armed to the teeth now. He moved his body, feeling that wearing this set of exquisite armor was still a bit heavy. Then, he tried to run a bit, but the speed was slightly affected. But it doesn't matter, the security has been greatly improved. Su Ming's slender figure put on a whole set of exquisite armor, and he immediately looked like a majestic general, exposing his arrogance. Wow, so handsome. At this time, Leah's big bright eyes flickered, and she said foolishly. Hearing this, under the mask, Su Ming showed a smile on his face, and reached out to pat Leah on the head. When did I learn to mouth pot? What Leah said is true. Leah muttered. It was afternoon in a flash. After Leah absorbed 2 wind runes, she also upgraded the Storm Whirlwind and Storm Spear to level 2. So far, every skill of her has risen to level 2. Moreover, Su Ming was reminded that after each of Leah's skills has reached the second level, she can only upgrade the skills again after she has been upgraded to the third level. But Leah ate 2 more gemstones from morning to afternoon, and there was still no sign of promotion. Su Ming had a headache. He thought Leah could upgrade to tier 3 by eating 3 wind gems. At this moment in the sky, a round of setting sun exudes a blush, slowly falling to the west. The whole world is covered by the bright red glow, which is as red as fire. On the stone wall, 2 figures, one large and one small, were stretched by the setting sun. Master, the sunset is so beautiful. Leah squinted her eyes to face the direction of the setting sun, and the fiery red light shone on her pretty face, making her face look like a glowing red apple. Su Ming nodded in agreement. In Leah's world, you can't see the sunset. Suddenly, Leah said suddenly, with a lonely expression on her face. Oh, Su Ming frowned suddenly, and asked, where is Leah's world? Leah from another world. He felt that he had explored some clues about the world. Leah can't remember, Master. Leah shook her little head. Does Nalia want her own world? Su Ming caressed her hair. I don't want to. Leah suddenly burst into a smile. I'm happiest with Master. Ding, Leah's loyalty is +10, and she has reached 100 points of loyalty. Loyalty will never change, and her loyalty will never decrease. Hearing the prompt, Su Ming was taken aback, and then smiled lightly. Time goes by, and before you know it, the sun goes down. The sky gradually darkened. When the last ray of light in the world is swallowed, the night falls completely. In addition to the white light emitted by the base, there is endless darkness outside the base. Ho ho ho. Suddenly, in the silent darkness, there was a sky-shattering roar, and there were dense scarlet rays of light everywhere. Each red light is a disaster creature. Tread, tread. Noisy and complicated footsteps gradually approached the base. Tonight's disaster attack is coming. In less than a minute, the disaster creatures rushing to the front were exposed to white light. Looking around, at the intersection of darkness and white light, hideous and terrifying monsters emerged. Their eyes were filled with scarlet light, and their mouths kept roaring, attacking Su Ming's base. At this time, a small body stood in front of Su Ming. Master, don't be afraid, Leah will protect you. Okay, I don't need Leah's protection yet. Seeing Leah's serious face, Su Ming couldn't help pinching her twice. However, you can really try Leah's fighting power. He stared into the distance, thinking. Swish, huge boulders whistled out of the ear, drawing a huge parabola in the air, and smashed into the disaster biome. Boom, boom, there was a loud bang of a boulder explosion outside the base. Each boulder can explode into a piece of disaster creatures. Ding, your boulder tower kills the 3rd order bloody spear thrower, your points +30. Ding, your boulder tower kills the 4th order blood-sucking demon, your points +40. After this wave of calamity frenzy, the strength of disaster creatures has also increased significantly, and there are a large number of 4th tier monsters mixed with 3rd tier monsters. However, they still couldn't make any waves in front of Su Ming's defense tower. In a few minutes, the corpses of disaster creatures were scattered all over the base, and even the corpses in some dense places were piled up like hills. Next to their corpses, a large number of items fell, emitting white light. As the strength of disaster creatures increases, they drop more items after death, and Su Ming also has the power of a pioneer, and the explosion rate is even higher. Gradually, more than 10 minutes passed. The number of calamity creatures outside the base also became scarce, and Su Ming made the giant stone tower stop attacking. Without the obstacle of the boulder tower, the remaining disaster creatures drove straight in, and within a few seconds entered the attack range of the bone arrow tower. Whoosh! Hundreds of arrow towers shot out at the same time, shooting densely packed arrows in a second, overwhelming the sky like raindrops. Puff! The sharp arrows shot directly through the body of the calamity creature. As long as they are within the coverage of the arrow rain, they are all shot into sieves, their bodies are full of arrows, and finally they kneel down to the ground. Then, pieces of bone warriors climbed up from their corpses. At this moment, Su Ming felt that he had been involved with 40 or 50 bone warriors. He scanned around, and under the rain of arrows, there were only a dozen or so disaster creatures surviving outside the base. Moreover, they were all ridiculed by the bone warriors. Seeing this, he stopped the attack of the white bone arrow tower. Turning his head, he said to Leah, who was eager to try. Leah, can you beat them? Su Ming has long wanted to see Leah's combat power, but has never had a suitable opportunity. And now, those mocked monsters are the best whetstones. Leah can beat it. Leah waved her small fist, her bright eyes full of confidence. Immediately, she flapped her wings that were as transparent as cicada wings, and the breeze floated up, and in the next second, she flew out of the base like a streamer. So fast. Su Ming was a little surprised, but at the same time relieved. Even if Leah couldn't beat her, it shouldn't be a problem to escape. In just one breath, Leah had already flown 50 or 60 meters, shrouded in light blue light, and her skirt was fluttering. In front of her, a Tier 3 zombie was fighting with a few bone warrior kings. The skin of the armored zombie is as hard as iron, and the bone arrow tower needs 3 or 4 arrows to kill. At this time, they tore several bone warriors into pieces in 2s and 3s. Roar! The armored zombie roared, and when he turned his head, he saw Leah floating in the air. They opened their mouths wide open, their scarlet eyes locked onto Leah, and they walked over quickly. Seeing this, Su Ming couldn't help holding his breath. After all, Leah is only Tier 2, and her opponents are several Tier 3 armored zombies. Su Ming chose the bone arrow tower. As long as Leah couldn't beat it, there would be hundreds of arrows to support him instantly. Ugly monsters, Leah is not afraid of you. She saw that her hands were wrapped in the shining green light, and she drew a circle in the air, and the air around her suddenly accelerated and flowed due to the wind. Hoo hoo! The wind began to howl. Leah kept waving her hands, and the strong wind began to blow in a track. Soon, under her control, with her as the center, a violent gust of wind swirled around, and among them appeared light green wind blades that looked like blades, spinning at high speed. Storm whirlwind. With a wave of Leah's hand, the tornado suddenly swept towards the 7 armored zombies. The whirlwind was violent and fast, whizzing past, and the dust was flying. In an instant, the storm and whirlwind devoured the 7 armored zombies. Clang clang clang. There seemed to be metal-like collisions in the violent storm. In the whirlwind, 7 iron-clad zombies were blown into a twirl and soared into the sky. The terrifying wind blades were the sharpest weapons rotating at high speed, and their hard skin was directly torn apart. Bang bang. A few seconds later, the storm and whirlwind disappeared, and the iron-clad zombies that were blown up fell from the sky like dumplings. Su Ming took a closer look and saw that the dense wounds on their bodies were connected together. Ding, your guardian spirit. Leah kills Tier 3 armored zombies, your points will be +30. Several reminders sounded in succession, and the 7 armored zombies were easily dealt with by Leah. Leah, that's amazing. Su Ming praised loudly. It seems that Leah's combat power should be able to crush ordinary third-order disaster creatures. And Leah clapped her hands when she heard his approval, and seemed very relaxed. She looked up and looked around, and flew to the left with a flap of her wings. In front, 10 bloody spear throwers are frantically shooting and killing the bone warriors around them. I saw that their arms were thick and their muscles were bulging, holding a long and pointed spear. With a hard throw, the sharp spear came out of his hand and shot away quickly, while the bone warrior raised his shield to defend. Boom! The spear pierced through the bone shield in an instant, and then shot through the bone warrior's head without losing power. At this time, Leah flew over, and 5 bloody spearmen turned their heads and aimed at her. Swish! In the next second, the spear was released from his hand at an extremely fast speed. 10 sounds of piercing through the air sounded. Leah calmed down, her cicada wings vibrated, and her petite body jumped into the air in an instant, dodging this wave of attacks directly. She just stabilized her figure. Swish! Suddenly, 2 spears flew towards her, and they were about to attack her in an instant. Leah, be careful, Su Ming reminded loudly. Leah's eyes froze, and her body exuded a faint fluorescence. Wind shelter. When he waved his hand, his body was surrounded by a layer of light green transparent mask. The moment the transparent shield appeared, the spear shot directly at the shield. Boom! The transparent mask rippled slightly, layer after layer, and directly bounced the sharp spear away. Immediately, Leah pinched the air with her right hand, and dozens of storm spears appeared out of thin air in front of her. This is her other attack skill, Storm Spear. With a light wave of his hand, dozens of storm spears shot towards the bloody spearmen below like a torrential rain. Before the 10 bloody spear throwers could react, the storm spear had already flown to their faces. Puff! The spear of the storm pierced through their bodies directly, leaving blood holes one after another, and blood gushed out. Ding! Your guardian spirit. Leah killed the third-order bloody spear thrower, your points plus bow. Asterisk. In an instant, all the bloody spear throwers were killed by Leah. After the kill, Leah flapped her wings and returned to the stone wall in one breath. She blinked her eyes, staring directly at Su Ming with star-like eyes. She licked her lips and said, "Leah's hungry." Hearing this, Su Ming directly took out a plump and round wind gem. "Wow, it smells so good." Leah's eyes lit up immediately, and she rushed over. Opening his mouth wide, he bit down on the wind gem with his white teeth. Immediately, a corner of the gem was missing, and a row of neat tooth marks appeared on it. Teeth are so good. Even after watching the scene of Leah eating many times, Su Ming was still amazed that such a hard gem was as soft as a panel in front of Leah. Moreover, Su Ming found that Leah did not swallow the gemstone after biting it off, and continued to bite on the gemstone. The gemstones in the mouth seemed to disappear inexplicably. And the result of this is that Leah bites non-stop, and within a minute, there is no gem the size of a fist left. Belch! Leah burped with her mouth open, looking very content. Leah is full and going to bed. As soon as she finished speaking, Leah flapped her wings and sat firmly on Su Ming's shoulder. Upgrading. Su Ming's eyes lit up immediately. Last time, Leah went to bed after she was full, and then she was promoted. He glanced out of the corner of his eye, and saw that Leah had closed her eyes, and her body exuded a radiant green glow. Your guardian spirit. Leah has absorbed enough wind energy and is in the process of upgrading. Really, Leah is about to level up again. Su Ming was overjoyed. He was looking forward to it. Tier 2 Leah just casually fights Tier 3 common monsters. Tier 3 Leah is definitely stronger. While waiting, Su Ming left the base and picked up all the dropped items. After more than 10 minutes, he returned to the base, and today he has gained a lot. A large number of Tier 4 monsters have a high drop rate. In addition to before, now his various construction resources have broken 3,000. After counting today's harvest, he returned to the bedroom, waiting for Leah's advancement. Su Ming opened the chat channel by the way to pass the time. At this time, many people have finished defending tonight's disaster creature attack and are discussing in the channel. Now there are a large number of Tier 4 calamity creatures appearing. The 4th order calamity creature is too strong. With high HP and high defense, it can only be slowly worn to death. Sure enough, every time a calamity frenzy is completed, the strength of the calamity creatures will become stronger. I'm crying, so 3 days later, the disaster frenzy will come again. So, as long as the development speed of the base is slow, there is almost no possibility of survival. Everyone talked about their feelings after today's defense. Calamity creatures have become stronger again, and defense and survival are facing huge challenges. Everyone's nerves are tense and depressed. Once they develop slowly, there is no possibility of survival. Su Ming looked at it for a while, and suddenly a cold reminder sound came from his ear. Your guardian spirit. Leah, return the field steps. Chapter 71. Your guardian spirit. Leah, the upgrade is complete. Your guardian spirit. Leah, I have learned a new skill, Wind Spirit. As soon as the notification sounded, Su Ming looked away. Leah had already woken up. With a smile on her lips, she said, "Master, Leah is strong again." Su Ming smiled and touched her head, while looking at her attributes. Guardian Spirit of the Wind, Leah. Type. Special type. Grade. 3rd grade. Loyalty. 100. Skill. Wind Shelter IV2. Storm Spear IV2, Wind Affinity IV2, Storm Whirlwind version 2. Wind Spirit IV1. Leah has mastered the more profound power of wind, and can gather wind elements to form a wind spirit. The wind spirit can detect enemies within a range of 200 meters, and can self-explode, causing wind attribute explosion damage to enemies within a diameter of 5 meters. After upgrading, Leah realized the new skill Wind Spirit. This skill can not only play the role of detection and early warning, but also can be used as an attack skill. Great practical value. 220, Leah, it's time to look at the beautiful patterns. Su Ming took out an exquisite wind rune and spread it on the palm of his hand, exuding a faint green light. Coming. Leah cheered and happily spun around in the air. Immediately, two delicate little toes drooped naturally and landed on Su Ming's wrist, and a soft touch came. Su Ming looked, and Leah was already staring at the wind rune. Streams of faint green lights continuously gushed out from the wind runes, and were absorbed by Leah. Ding, your guardian spirit, Leah, has absorbed the power of the wind rune, and has a more profound grasp of the power of the wind. The skill, Wind Spirit, has been upgraded to level 2. A few minutes later, the light of this wind rune dimmed and it was scrapped immediately. And the skill that Leah just comprehended has also been upgraded to level 2. After the upgrade, the detection range of the Wind Spirit becomes 300 meters, and the explosion range is also expanded by half. The improvement of skill effect is very obvious. In 2 days, Leah rose to the 3rd rank. The upgrade speed is very fast, but the resource consumption is also very large. The consumed wind gems and wind runes are almost 4,000 in construction resources. If it weren't for his rich resources, he really couldn't stand it. Yesterday, he posted on the trading platform the long-term purchase of wind gems and wind runes. This is enough to supply Leah's daily consumption. But Leah's performance really satisfied him. When she was at the 1st level, she could casually kill 3rd level calamity creatures. Now that Leah is at the 3rd level, it shouldn't be a big problem to deal with the 4th level calamity creatures. Thinking of this, Su Ming's desire to go out and explore became stronger. He currently has the protection of Storm Chariot and Leah, and the safety issue has been resolved. Even if he encounters disaster creatures that even they can't deal with, he can still use the base movement card to move directly to the base to fight. Thinking of this, Su Ming also became excited. I have been bored in the base all the time, and I have long been bored. Now is the time to take the initiative and go out. But before going out, it is still necessary to strengthen a wave of base defense. Otherwise, if he didn't come back in time, the base would be overwhelmed by calamity creatures, and things would explode. Thinking of this, he took out 2 drawings. Level 1 Lightning Tower Upgrade Blueprint. Construction Resources. Wood, 1000, Stone, 1000, Iron Ore, 1000, Lightning Gem 2, Lightning Rune * 2. Level 1 Ice Tower Upgrade Blueprint. Construction Resources. Wood, 1000, Stone, 1000, Iron Ore, 1000, Ice Gem 2, Ice Rune * 2. After today's harvest, the upgrade materials for the 2 special defense towers just happened to be assembled. He directly used these 2 drawings. Immediately, the drawing first dissipated into thousands of points of light, and then formed 2 huge phantoms, which were slowly solidifying. Rumble. There was a rumbling sound on the stone wall, and after a few minutes, the strangeness disappeared. 2 more elaborate and massive defensive towers towered over the stone walls. Su Ming, look at their attributes. Ice Tower. Type. Special Defense Tower. Level. Level 2. Attack Method. Ice Field. Create a field of ice in an area of 50 meters * 50 meters, causing 40 points of freezing damage per second and having a chance to freeze enemies, and all enemy units that step into the field will slow down their attack speed and movement speed by 75%. Consumption. 20 points. Frozen Prison. Frozen imprisons all units within a radius of 5 meters. Frozen units cannot move or attack, and suffer 50 points of freezing damage per second. Consumption. 100/5. Attack range. 400 meters. Charging cap. 1005/1000. Charge per second. 8 points. After the upgrade, all the attributes of the ice tower have been improved. And gained a new skill. This skill is more powerful than the ice field, it can directly imprison the enemy unit. Su Ming looked at the lightning tower with satisfaction. Lightning Tower. Type. Special Defense Tower. Level. Level 2. Attack Method. Ball Lightning. Each attack consumes 40 points of lightning energy to launch a ball of lightning to the enemy. After the attack causes high lightning damage, the ball of lightning will turn into a lightning field, causing continuous damage within a radius of 7.5 meters. Lightning Storm. A lightning storm area is formed within a radius of 10 meters, which lasts for 30 seconds, and lightning strikes the units in the area every second. Consumption. 1000. Attack range. 400 meters. 1005/1000. Charge per second. 8 points. Like the ice tower, After upgrading, the attributes of the Lightning Tower have been greatly improved, and new attack methods have also been unlocked. After upgrading the 2 special defense towers, there are still some construction resources left. He opened the construction panel again and built a catapult. Immediately afterwards, all the catapult towers were upgraded to boulder towers. So far, the defense capability of the base has been improved again. Even if all defense towers attack automatically, they can firmly defend the disaster creatures at this stage. Base security problem solved. Su Ming walked to the bedroom with peace of mind, took off his armor, and lay down on the big bed, ready to fall asleep. At night, half asleep and half awake, he felt as if another mass of warmth entered his arms. While breathing, the fragrance of rosewood is tangy, and it seems to be mixed with other fragrances. The next day, it was dawn. The sun rose, and the warm sunlight shone through the wooden window on Su Ming's face. After a while, the chicken opened its sleepy eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, a pretty little face came into view. Leah's big round eyes were staring at him intently. "Master, it's time to get up." A sweet smile appeared on Leah's face. At this time, she flew to the bedside, holding the exquisite iron helmet a little smaller than her body with both hands. "Master, get dressed." Immediately, she flapped her wings and flew to Su Ming's side. Su Ming took it with a smile. In a minute, he put on all the clothes and armor. Then, he took out a wind gem and a wind rune, and handed them to Leah. Leah quickly ate up this wind gem, and the breath of wind exuding from her body became more intense. Then, she spent a few more minutes absorbing the power of the wind rune. Su Ming thought that Leah could upgrade after absorbing this wind rune, but nothing happened. This shows that a wind rune is no longer enough for Leah to upgrade her skills. Su Ming has a headache. This little guy's consumption is really getting bigger and bigger. Although he thought so, he still produced a wind rune. A few minutes later, the power of this wind-type rune was also absorbed by Leah, and a rune was scrapped again, and Leah's skills were finally upgraded. Ding, your guardian spirit. Leah has absorbed enough power of wind runes, and has mastered the power of wind more profoundly. The skill, Wind Shield, has been upgraded to level 3. After absorbing 2 runes in a row, the power of the wind runes in Leah's body was also saturated, so she couldn't absorb them for the time being. Su Ming then simply finished his own breakfast. Then, he opened the door of the storm chariot and loaded it with food and drinking water for several days. Everything is ready to go. I saw Su Ming wearing exquisite armor all over his body, leaning against the storm chariot, majestic, like a general about to go to war. On his shoulders, Leah sat firmly, her delicate feet swinging up and down, her eyes looked out of the base, with a look of expectation on her face. "Let's go, Leah, let's go." A minute later, Su Ming entered the storm chariot and slowly drove out of the base. Boom! As soon as it left the base, the storm chariot speeded up instantly, and rushed out like a streamer. The sun is in the sky, and the warm sunlight shines on the earth. On a vast plain, suddenly, a huge afterimage roared past, billowing in dust and smoke. Su Ming stared ahead in the operating room, and the scenes on both sides quickly receded. There are planes all around, he doesn't have to worry about bumping into anything, and he directly pulls the speed of the storm chariot to full. The chariot is as fast as the wind. Su Ming's mood was also unusually cheerful. Staying at the base for too long, my mood has been suppressed. Now I can finally let go of the speed and run on the vast plains, leaving all the chores behind. The emotions that have been suppressed are completely released, like a volcanic eruption, and a hearty sense of pleasure naturally arises. Where did those disaster creatures come from? Su Ming thought about it. After driving for such a long time, the surrounding area is still plain. Except for dozens of disaster creatures wandering around, he didn't see any large-scale gathering of disaster creatures at all. But every night when night comes, in just a few minutes, the disaster creatures around will flood in like a tide. That kind of large-scale attack is simply not comparable to the number he has seen now. Even if they come from outside the plane, the time is completely wrong. Could it be that at night, in the darkness, there will be a passage like the projection of the door of disaster? Then, a large number of calamity creatures descended in the passage to attack his base. Or, in this world, darkness is disaster, and as long as darkness comes, it will be accompanied by disaster creatures. Su Ming guessed, but no one will come out and give him an answer. However, he was certain. When darkness falls, disaster creatures will definitely have a special method to descend near his base. Not pairs either. Since they have a way to descend near the base, why not directly descend into the base? Could it be that the sentry tower emits white light, and the vicinity of the base is not completely dark, so they can only fall outside the white light? Various conjectures were intertwined in Su Ming's mind. At this moment, his thoughts were completely entangled like a bunch of tangled hemp ropes. Oh, forget it, don't want to. There is no point in thinking too much. Su Ming shook his head, throwing distracting thoughts out of his mind. Suddenly, with a flash of inspiration, he turned his head and glanced at Leah. Leah, are there any disaster creatures in your original world? Su Ming asked. Calamity creature. Master, are you talking about that ugly monster? Leah's watery eyes flashed a trace of bewilderment, and she pointed to a rigid animal outside the car and said, "That's right." Su Ming nodded. Leah opened her ruddy mouth and tilted her head. After thinking for a few seconds, her eyes suddenly lit up. Leah knows. Seeing the change in her expression, Su Ming was shocked and looked at her expectantly. Leah doesn't remember. After Leah finished speaking, she stared at Su Ming with big eyes, with an innocent face. Forehead. Okay. Su Ming's face suddenly collapsed. But he also noticed a detail. What Leah said was that she didn't remember, and it was the same statement as when she watched the sunset last time. Is this Leah's lost memory? Or don't know at all? Still no answer. Su Ming stopped thinking about it and continued to drive forward. I don't know how long it has been open, and the monotonous scenery has also changed. Jungles and rivers began to appear all around. You can vaguely see the mountains in the distance. Suddenly, Leah pointed to the front and said, "Hey, master, look there." Su Ming looked in the direction of her finger. That is black forest. A dense and vast forest suddenly appeared in front of it, but the color of the forest was not green. Towering giant trees stand tall one after another, both the trunk and the leaves are all dark black. The sunlight shone on it and was completely absorbed by the forest, making it appear incomparably deep and dark, as if there was a man-eating monster in it. Su Ming felt a little terrified, and drove in another direction. A few more minutes passed. A wide river blocked their way. Seeing this, Su Ming turned around and drove along the direction of the river. After driving along the river for a few minutes, a group of disaster creatures suddenly blocked the front, and they had already been spotted. Third-order blood transformation zombie. Seeing their levels, Su Ming calmly adjusted the storm air cannon and aimed at them. Roar! This group of bloody zombies roared, their scarlet eyes were full of cruelty and ferocity. The next moment, they rushed towards the storm chariot. Storm air cannon. Su Ming directly attacked. At this moment, the surrounding air flow accelerated, and the strong wind howled. A group of dazzling rays of light suddenly condensed in the huge cannon barrel and shot out. Boom! With a loud sound, a stream of light flashed in front of Su Ming's eyes. Where the storm air cannon passed, the air oscillated, and a deep ravine was suddenly drawn on the hard ground. Bang bang! This cannon precisely hit the center of the blood-turned zombie, and the loud sound shook the sky. The violent shock wave instantly twisted the group of blood-turned zombies into pieces. Fragments of residual limbs were scattered in all directions, and a large amount of blood splashed like rain. Ding! Your storm chariot killed the third-order blood change zombie, your points plus 3-0. A series of beeps came. Once shot down, only a few of the zombie group are still alive. Shish! At this time, 3 laser beams are fired continuously. Each laser beam precisely pierced through a zombie's body. In less than a minute, the battle was resolved. Beside dozens of blood-turned zombies, several items also dropped. Leah, pick up something. Su Ming pushed the car door open. Leah flew out first, her eyes were full of vigilance, and she kept scanning her surroundings. Master, there is no danger around. After a few seconds, Leah's tense expression eased slightly. Hearing this, Su Ming, who was wearing fine iron armor, slowly got out of the car. The sun outside the car was just right, the fragrance of the soil was tangy, surrounded by greenery, and the sound of gurgling water came from my ears. This scene is much more beautiful than the plains around his base. Quickly walk up to the dropped item. Ding, you picked up a lot of wood, wood plus 3-0. Ding, you picked up a lot of iron ore plus 3-5. After a while, the items were picked up. He walked into the storm chariot, took out the rattan chair on the car, placed it by the river, sat on it and lay down. The sun is warm and the breeze is blowing. It is very pleasant to enjoy the scenery in front of you. Leah, it's time for lunch. Su Ming took out a wind gem and said to Leah. Fragrant. Leah's eyes lit up immediately, and she rushed forward. And Su Ming also took out the dried meat and drinking water in the car, and started to eat. After a while, the two finished eating. Su Ming's food was not very comfortable. He decided to leave the base later, and be sure to bring a grill and a cooler. In this way, you can enjoy the scenery while enjoying the food. Thinking about it, he closed his eyes and started. Master, how can he fall asleep anywhere? While Leah pouted, she carefully gathered the energy of the wind in her hands. Spirit of the wind. After a while, a looming elf appeared. Leah waved at it. Immediately, the wind spirit soared into the air and floated in the air. Finally, its body gradually faded, and finally completely disappeared in the air. With Wind Elf's reconnaissance vigilance, she doesn't have to keep observing the surrounding environment. There was a smile on her small face, and the transparent cicada wings flapped and landed gently on Su Ming's chest. Well, at some point, Su Ming woke up, opened his sleepy eyes, and found Leah staring at him. Leah, how long have I been asleep? Su Ming asked. Master, I've been asleep for an hour. Leah replied. An hour. He glanced at the sky, it should be afternoon. Su Min then took Leah into the car and continued to drive far away along the river. After driving for half an hour, they only encountered a few disaster creatures. 467. All the way calm. As he moved forward, the surrounding scenery did not change much. Suddenly, a dazzling light came into view. What? Su Ming looked intently, and suddenly clusters of green lights appeared on the ground in the distance, and he felt a little familiar with that appearance. He accelerated immediately, and the storm chariot roared away. After a while, he came closer. He stared at the mottled and shining light on the ground, and was startled. This is an item dropped by killing illagers. I saw groups of objects falling on the ground, wrapped in mottled light. Su Ming was startled. Why are these things here? Could it be that someone killed the disaster creature and didn't pick it up? Or do disaster creatures fight among themselves and kill their own people? Su Ming guessed, and at the same time drove the chariot to scan around, but found no danger. He pushed open the door and jumped out of the chariot. Walking quickly to the nearest group of items, he reached out to pick them up. Ding, you picked up the wind gem. Wind gems picked up in vain. There are other good things. Su Ming's face was surprised, but then turned into joy. Because there are so many people in front of them, there are at least dozens of objects that no one has picked up. Since no one wants it, he can do it. Ding, you picked up a lot of stones plus 3-5. Ding, you picked up a huge pile of wood plus 6-0. Ding, you picked up the wind rune. Cool, Su Ming admired. Picking up, Su Ming suddenly found a broken earth wall not far ahead. Through the gap in the earth wall, he saw a collapsed wooden house. Su Ming suddenly felt very familiar, and had a guess in his heart. He approached slowly, jumped onto the earthen wall, and immediately had a clear view of the scene inside. Suddenly, a deep shock appeared on his face. This is the base where the others were destroyed. Su Ming is extremely sure at this moment. This wreck must have been someone's base before. In the middle of the base is a wooden house that has been destroyed. The earthen walls collapsed on 3 sides, and the remains of many defensive towers can be seen on it. It seems that the development of this man's base is not bad. But it was still destroyed. There is a high probability that he died during the disaster frenzy. He guessed. Suddenly, Su Ming understood. Where did those items on the ground outside come from? It is this base that kills the calamity creature and drops it. But before he had time to pick it up, the base was destroyed by disaster creatures, leaving behind a lot of items. At this time, he jumped off the earthen wall to see if he could find something of value among the ruins. After a while, Su Ming came out regretfully. There was nothing useful in the ruins. But there are not in the base, there are many dropped items outside the base. He just picked up one side of the item. There are also many dropped items on the other 3 sides of the base that can still be picked up. Standing on the dirt wall and looking around, there are clusters of objects emitting light, and there may be more than 100 of them. He was full of energy, and after a while, he picked up all the items, with a smile on his face. All kinds of construction resources have been picked up for almost 1,000, and there are many special materials. Although the harvest is not particularly rich, but this kind of refreshment of picking up things for nothing is not comparable to picking up items dropped by oneself from killing monsters. Immediately, he took Leah into the storm chariot, and drove forward at full speed, looking for the next destroyed base. I don't know how long it has been driving, and suddenly a group of dazzling lights in front of me come into view. Taking a closer look, there is another pile of fallen objects on the ground, and there is also a base wreckage not far away. And the items dropped this time seem to be much more than the previous location. Get rich, get rich. Arriving at the location, Su Ming got out of the car excitedly and began to pick up these unwanted items. Ding, you have picked up a huge pile of wood, the wood is +50. Along the perimeter of the base, Su Ming was full of energy to collect all the items in his bag, and he continued to search for the next destroyed ruin. 20 minutes later. Master, there's one over there. Leah pointed in one direction with an excited expression on her face. Looking in the direction of her finger, he saw a destroyed base in the front left. Turning his gaze, the ground is densely covered with objects wrapped in light. Good guy, still a big fish, more than the previous 2 locations combined. It took him a full 20 minutes to pick up these items. He took a little inventory of the resources, and the resources obtained in the 3 places combined were more abundant than a disaster frenzy. After picking up the items, Su Ming stopped on the earth wall, and the sunlight stretched the shadow long and narrow. After running 3 places, it was getting late, and it was almost evening. There will be a large number of disaster creatures coming in the dark night, which is extremely dangerous. Although he has the protection of the chariot and Leah, there is no need for him to take risks. Today he just circled around the base. At this point in time, he should be able to return to the base before dark. Leah, it's time to go back. Su Ming turned his head and said to Leah who was beside him. Okay, master. Leah nodded obediently, and landed on his shoulder. Immediately, Su Ming quickly stepped into the storm chariot. Boom! The huge chariot accelerated suddenly and flew away in the direction it came from. Along the way, Su Ming maximized the speed of the storm chariot, as fast as the wind, stirring up dust and smoke along the way. At this time, the sun was setting in the west, exuding rounds of blush. Under the setting sun, the vast plains are also illuminated red. On the plain, more than a dozen disaster creatures roared from time to time, wandering aimlessly. Swish! Suddenly, a huge afterimage flashed across like a streamer, passing directly between them. Boom! A violent impact sounded, and 7 or 8 disaster creatures suddenly flew upside down for tens of meters, and fell heavily on the ground, motionless. Going back to base, Su Ming drove the storm chariot and galloped freely on the plain. Reaching the plain also means that the base is not far away. As time went by, the sky became darker and darker, and it became gray. Finally, on the eve of night, Su Ming saw his base. Thorn. A minute later, an ear-piercing friction sounded outside the base. At this time, the last ray of light in the world was completely swallowed by darkness. As night fell, Su Ming also returned to the base. After driving the storm chariot into the base, he opened the door and returned to the room. Leah, dinner is over. Su Ming handed Leah a wind gem. In a minute, Leah ate it all up. He took out 2 wind runes for Leah to absorb. 10 minutes later, the 2 school spirit runes lost their luster. Ding, your guardian spirit. Leah, you have absorbed enough wind rune power, and you have mastered the power of wind more profoundly. The skill, Storm Tornado, has been upgraded to level 3. After absorbing the rune, one of Leah's skills was upgraded and became stronger. You can also try Leah's fighting power tonight. Su Ming took Leah to the stone wall slowly. Woohoo! At this time, the cold wind howled, like a monster howling in Ghosts and Wolves. With the sentry tower as the center, the area within 500 meters is illuminated by white light. Outside the white light is the endless darkness, and his eyes swept across the darkness. Suddenly, his eyes froze. In the darkness where you can't see your fingers, clusters of dark green lights suddenly appeared, like will-o'-the-wisps, flickering all the time. Su Ming knew that these were disaster creatures, but he didn't know how they came suddenly. Ho ho ho. Rumble. Before he could think too much, there was a roar that soared to the sky all around, and with the rumbling sound, the ground seemed to be shaking slightly. Soon, a light like a will-o'-the-wisp drifted towards his base in the darkness. The noisy footsteps and roars were getting closer, and soon, Su Ming saw the first calamity creature rushing into the range of the white light. The next moment, densely packed disaster creatures began to swarm in. He glanced around. Among the catastrophic creatures that attacked tonight, those with the strength of the 4th level have appeared in large numbers, and the number is almost the same as that of the 3rd level. It can be seen that the disaster creatures that strike every day are stronger than the previous day. If the development of the base is slow, it will inevitably be destroyed by endless disaster creatures. Just like the destroyed base he saw during the day. Of course, with his current defensive ability, he is at least 2 months ahead of others. Swish. Huge boulders roared in the air, and landed on the densely packed disaster creatures. Bang bang bang. After falling to the ground, these stones turned into powerful bombs, instantly clearing the disaster creatures in the explosion area. I saw that where the boulder exploded, most of the monsters, whether they were 3rd order or 4th order monsters, were instantly killed. Even the few that were not instantly killed, all of them were severely injured with residual blood, and were killed by the following boulders in the next second. The sound of killing notifications kept coming to Su Ming's ears, and at the edge of the white light, there were already piles of corpses like hills. The battle lasted for 10 minutes, and the number of disaster creatures also began to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, the impact of disaster creatures came to an end. There are only dozens of Tier 4 disaster creatures left outside the base. Seeing this, Su Ming stopped the attack of the defense tower. Leah, he yelled. Immediately Leah understood what Su Ming meant. She flapped her wings, leaving an afterimage in the air. After upgrading, Leah's flying speed became faster. Flying at full strength, Su Ming couldn't catch her figure. In the next second, Leah was less than 100 meters away from the calamity creature and stopped. She kept waving her little hand in the air, and with the waving, it seemed that a mysterious force surged out. The surrounding air began to flow faster. In an instant, the wind howled. Storm whirlwind. At this moment, a giant tornado roared away. Countless wind blades in the tornado rotate at high speed, and each wind blade is the sharpest blade. The giant whirlwind is very fast, and every inch it moves, the energy it gathers expands. When it swept over the calamity creature, it had doubled in size. Immediately, these calamity creatures were directly rolled up and swallowed into the whirlwind, completely without the slightest ability to resist. Su Ming could clearly feel that this whirlwind was at least several times more powerful than the one released by Leah before. Ding, your guardian spirit. Leah kills the 4th order giant zombie, your points plus 40. A number of 4th order calamity creatures were strangled to death by the storm and whirlwind one after another. After a while, the whirlwind disappeared, and Li Jiao everything returned to calm. Bang bang. At this time, the corpses of the disaster creatures in the air fell down like dumplings. That's great, Leah, Su Ming praised. After Leah was upgraded, she became stronger and could easily deal with a group of 4th order ordinary calamity creatures. Under the whirlwind of Leah's storm, the disaster creatures that came tonight were completely swept away. Groups of dense objects exude light. Su Ming walked out of the base directly, and Leah also flew to his side to protect him. Soon, he finished harvesting the spoils of the night and returned to the base. A lot of various resources have been harvested tonight, especially the construction resources, plus the free pickup during the day. It is almost tens of thousands. He directly opened the construction panel and began to build a large number of defensive towers. First build the arrow tower and the stone tower. Then upgrade them to bone arrow tower and giant stone tower respectively. Rumble. There are too many buildings built at once, and the stone walls are shaking slightly. After a few minutes, the buzzing stopped. The originally empty space on the stone wall has been filled with many defensive towers. Now, his bone arrow towers have reached 160, and his megalithic towers have reached 150, the number has almost increased by half. The most important thing is that most of the construction resources of these defensive towers are for nothing, which is really cool. Su Ming decided that from now on, he must never dawdle in the base during the day. After building so many defensive towers, he only has about 1,000 construction resources left, which are reserved for emergencies. After dinner, Su Ming opened the chat channel with nothing to do. At this time, many people have finished defending tonight's disaster creature attack and are bubbling in the chat channel. Alas, finally the defense is over, and we have another day to live. It's so difficult. There are more and more Tier 4 calamity creatures. Are Tier 5 creatures going to appear? Finally got enough resources to upgrade my base. Many people vent their emotions individually. Suddenly, a message was sent out, which aroused everyone's discussion. Brothers, the regional leaderboard is about to be settled. I'm so envious that some big guys can get rewards. Regional leaderboard, I forgot there was such a thing. I just checked, the number of monsters killed by Su Ming is more than the sum of the top 5. Is this the world's #1 strength? So much. How did he do it? While everyone was discussing, Su Ming also opened the regional leaderboard. On the list, his name ranks first, and the number of monsters killed is far ahead. At a glance, the ranking has not changed from when it first came out. At this time, he turned his gaze to the countdown to the settlement. There are 22 hours left on the countdown. The reward ranked #1 is the most abundant and precious, and his reward also accumulated the rewards from the last disaster frenzy. If the two rewards are superimposed, I am afraid that you can get a very rich reward. Su Ming thought happily. The next day, Su Ming woke up early. Thinking of going out to pick up things again today, I am very excited, and I am full of energy. He got up like a carp, and then let Leah absorb the wind gems and runes. He also hastily finished his breakfast and was ready to set off to find the destroyed base. At this time, he suddenly thought of the situation of looking for the base yesterday. Yesterday, he was like a headless fly with no direction at all. He could only try his luck around, the efficiency was too low. It would be great if there is something that can discover those bases in advance. It would be much more efficient to go directly to the destination like that. With this in mind, he immediately opened the trading platform to see if there was such an item. On the platform, there was a lot of transaction information, and he searched for more than 10 minutes, and finally found a satisfactory item. Seller: Zhao Zuoxing. For sale: drawings for telescope production. Requirement: 100 wood. At this moment, he was looking at the detailed information in the telescope. Drawings for telescope production. Building materials: fluorite 5, refined iron 5, trapped wood 5. Precondition: production room. Description: the site of thousands of miles is just around the corner. Can see thousands of miles. Just looking at the description, Su Ming feels awesome. The function of the telescope can greatly increase the viewing distance, which perfectly meets his needs. It's up to you. It cost 100 wood, which he exchanged for blueprints. Immediately, he entered the keywords of fluorite on the trading platform. Immediately, pieces of related transaction information appeared. He picked one at random and exchanged it. All materials are ready. After closing the trading platform, he came to the production room, put the materials on the production table, and he used the production drawings directly. Immediately, a production countdown was displayed on the production time. Production time: 10 minutes. Production also needs to wait 10 minutes. He opens the chat channel. Ding! Suddenly, he saw the private message bar flickering. Someone messaged him. He opened it and saw that it was the person who just sold the blueprint of the telescope. Zhao Zuoxing. Boss Su Ming, I didn't expect you and I to complete the deal. Su Ming asked directly, is there something wrong? Zhao Zuoxing. Boss, I have a recipe here, are you interested? Attached. Only 10 refined irons are needed. CCDH. Su Ming froze for a moment, and opened the picture. Recipe for making Buddha jump over the wall. Ingredients required: abalone, sea cucumber. Production method: Buddha jumps over the wall recipe. This is too outrageous. Su Ming was shocked. The relevant introduction of Buddha jumping over the wall is written on the recipe, but a lot of key information, such as the production method, has been erased and can only be seen after the transaction. After seeing the picture, Su Ming swallowed involuntarily, very interested. It took 10 refined iron to exchange the recipe. At this time, he suddenly thought of a key question. No ingredients. He didn't have most of the ingredients needed for Buddha jumping over the wall, and he had never even seen them in this world. Are these ingredients dropped from items? Su Ming suspiciously searched for an ingredient on the transaction information, abalone. Suddenly, a few messages appeared on it. He clicked to open it. The aisle. Seller. Zhang Meng. Sale. Abalone 1. Requirement. Refined iron 5. He trades directly. With the abalone in hand, he started searching for other ingredients. After this search, he learned a lot. Most ingredients can be found by searching. According to the recipe, he exchanged all these things. But there are some ingredients that are not available, so he directly released the relevant transaction information and put it at the top. Ding, the telescope is made. Finally made it. Immediately, Su Ming was shocked and turned off the channel. In a blink of an eye, the telescope has appeared on the production table. He took it in his hand and observed it carefully. The appearance of the telescope is similar to the telescope of the Earth and stars. It is mainly composed of 2 cylinders, one end is thin and the other end is thick, which looks very delicate. Immediately, he took the binoculars and walked up the stone wall. Looking around, on the vast plain, there seemed to be several small black spots shaking in the extreme distance. He picked up the binoculars and looked over. Suddenly, the scene in the distance was directly enlarged, and the small black spots turned out to be wandering disaster creatures. Through the binoculars, Su Ming could even see the blood vessels and black spots on their skin, which was very clear. Looking further away, there is a big mountain with a dense jungle growing on it, and the stems and tendrils of the leaves on the trees can be seen clearly. After a while, he turned around with the binoculars and looked in other directions. Things in the distance are clearly visible in every direction. Suddenly, a familiar light on the ground caught his attention. His eyes lit up immediately, and he looked intently. A group of green shadows fell to the ground emitting a faint light. It is the item dropped after killing the calamity creature. He scanned the surrounding scene excitedly. Not far from the items was a destroyed base. The telescope is awesome. It is simply the best prop for going out. Su Ming looked away with a smile. It can be seen that with this telescope, the efficiency of going out to find things in the future has been greatly improved. At this time, he opened a transaction in Putian. Suddenly, I found that the private message column was flickering frantically. I opened it and saw that it was another message from Zhao Zuoxing, and there were several messages in one post. 10 minutes ago. Boss, you really want to be a Buddha jumping over the wall, and you've already started collecting ingredients. 5 minutes ago. Boss, can you leave a mouthful of soup for me to drink after you did Buddha jump over the wall? Woohoo, I'm so spineless. 2 minutes ago. Haha, after I told everyone in the chat channel, it turns out that I'm not the only one who has no spine. Forehead. After reading it, Su Ming was a little speechless. He opened the chat channel and saw that, sure enough, everyone was discussing this topic. Is Mr. Su Ming here? I'll exchange 10 lumber for a sip of soup. It's really sour. I'm still eating bread. Others are starting to eat Buddha jumping over the wall. The jerky that I finally got, I suddenly feel that it doesn't taste good. I also have the ingredients for Buddha jumping over the wall, but I can't make it, it's so annoying. Seeing this, Su Ming also sent a message. Su Ming. Yeah, the ingredients for Buddha jumping over the wall haven't been collected yet, but it's known to all. As soon as the news was released, the discussion became more heated. The boss is really going to be a Buddha jumping over the wall. I have the ingredients, the boss is ready, if you can't finish it, give me a taste. Stop talking, I'm already drooling. Isn't it just Buddha jumping over the wall, what's good or bad? Everyone has envy and jealousy. You must know that at this stage, the vast majority of people have only solved the problem of food and clothing. As long as there is food to eat, they are satisfied, and they dare not expect extravagant requirements. Therefore, the impact of Buddha jumping over the wall on everyone can be imagined. After sending the message, Su Ming looked at the trading platform in a blink of an eye, and was surprised to find that all the ingredients for Buddha Tiaochang had been traded. From this point of view, you can eat Buddha jumping over the wall today. He took out the menu and scanned it roughly. The whole production process is cumbersome and lengthy. In order to eat this feast as soon as possible, he decided to start making it now. According to the recipe, he first cleaned and cut the ingredients. Then sort the different ingredients by blanching, steaming. And that's just preliminary work. He put the ingredients into the pot in batches and began to simmer slowly over medium-low heat. After doing all this, you still need to wait a few hours. Su Ming decided to pick up the item he just saw. Thinking of this, he took Leah into the storm chariot and drove towards the ruins of the base he had just seen. It looked very close in the binoculars, but Su Ming drove the chariot to full speed and drove for half an hour before arriving at the destination. The chariot stopped beside the ruins of the base. Looking around, there are a lot of items scattered around. He walked up quickly and started today's first white ticket harvest. Ding, you picked up the flame gem 1. Ding, take the middle pile of wood, wood plus 1-5. The items here are much less than yesterday's. The build resource picked up just under 1500 units in total. He guessed that the base's survival time should be very short, and it was destroyed by disaster creatures. But these are all picked up for nothing, less is less. After more than 10 minutes, after picking up these items, he immediately entered the storm chariot and started the return journey. Another half an hour passed, and Su Ming returned to his base. One back, more than an hour a day is lost. When Su Ming walked to the house, there was a slight smell of food immediately. The fragrance intensifies over time. 3 hours passed, the flames gradually extinguished, and Buddha jumping over the wall was finally done. At this time, the aroma of the ingredients has been completely stewed, and Su Ming is already salivating just by smelling it. Carefully take it out on the table and uncover it. Immediately, steaming steam was released, and at the same time, the aroma of various foods mixed together, rushing towards the face, refreshing. Smell good. Su whimpered and swallowed. I saw that all kinds of ingredients have been cooked through several hours of simmering, and the soup is thick and brown, thick but not greasy. I took a piece of meat and put it in my mouth. It was soft, smooth and fragrant. Then scoop up a spoonful of hot thick soup and drink it into your mouth. The soup is delicious and rich, and slides down your throat into your stomach. Simply unforgettable. Afterwards, he ate 2 mouthfuls of vegetables and another mouthful of soup. After a while, a full jar of Buddha jumping over the wall was eaten clean, not even the soup was left. After eating, Yin Ming leaned back on the chair contentedly. After an unknown period of time, he walked out of the house and stood on the stone wall. The sun slanted, stretching his shadow long and narrow, and it was almost evening at this time. Night is coming. He opened the leaderboard and glanced at it. The regional leaderboard rewards were settled, and there were less than 4 hours left. Boundless darkness enveloped the entire world without end. Outside the base, clusters of faint blue light spots suddenly appeared in the darkness and floated back and forth. As time went by, the spot of light gradually grew larger, becoming clusters of strange rays of light floating in the air. Standing on the stone wall, Su Ming could hear the gradually amplified roar of monsters and noisy footsteps. As the night fell, the disaster creatures tonight also attacked. Swish. When the disaster creatures were exposed to the white light, the densely packed boulder towers launched an attack. I saw that the dense raindrop-like boulders in the air drew a huge parabola in the air, accurately hitting the swarming disaster creatures. Bang bang bang. A boulder exploded first, making a rumbling sound, followed by continuous sky-shaking explosions, sounds. Every time the boulder tower attacks, it directly destroys the monsters in a small area. Gradually, the corpses of these disaster creatures piled up like mountains at the junction of light and darkness. The number of megalithic towers has increased by nearly half, and these disaster creatures come and die faster. After killing the first calamity creature, the intensive kill notification sound kept ringing, constantly echoing in Su Ming's ears. A few minutes later, the attack of disaster creatures also ushered in a peak period. More and more calamity creatures came out of the darkness like a tide. In the sky, a mass of flying catastrophe creatures also fluttered their wings like dark clouds, quickly attacking Su Ming's base. At this time, some megalithic towers adjusted their attack targets and launched an attack towards them. Each megalithic tower threw 4 huge rocks within a second, directly hitting the flying calamity creature. Boom! There was an ear-splitting explosion, and the daily calamity creatures fell to the ground like dumplings. In just a few seconds, the number of disaster creatures in the air decreased by 1/3. At this time, they also entered the attack range of the white bone arrow tower by virtue of their speed. At this moment, arrows covering the sky enveloped them like raindrops. 20 shots per second. Within a few seconds, tens of thousands of arrows were fired, directly killing all the flying disasters. Their corpses fell from the sky, and when they approached the ground, bone warriors transformed from their corpses. After landing, dozens of bone warriors rushed towards the disaster creatures. Soon, after the peak period, the number of disaster creatures began to decrease significantly. In less than a few minutes, when the last disaster creature came to the end, their offensive also came to an end. The strength of the calamity creatures that attack tonight is basically at the 4th level. Next to their corpses, dense objects have fallen, and they continue to emit dazzling light. There are a lot of disaster creatures tonight, and the items dropped are also very rich. Su Ming took Leah out of the base without any haste. Start picking up tonight's harvest. Ding, you picked up the Wind Gem 1. The first item is the gemstone. It seems that the luck tonight is good. Su Ming handed it to Leah directly. After taking it, Leah digested it in less than a minute, and the power of wind exuding from her body became stronger and stronger. More than 10 minutes later, Su Ming returned to the base. At this time, he opened the regional leaderboard, and the settlement time for the leaderboard rewards displayed on it was less than an hour. There was still a while before the settlement time, so he was not in a hurry, and took out 2 wind runes for Leah to absorb. 10 minutes later, all the power contained in the text was absorbed by Leah. Ding, your guardian spirit. Leah, you have absorbed enough wind rune power, and you have mastered the power of wind more deeply. The skill Wind Spirit has been upgraded to level 3. After the Wind Spirit is upgraded, the detection range is expanded to 400 meters, and the explosion range is also expanded to 10 meters. The effect of skills has been significantly improved. And in the past 2 days, all of Leah's skills have been upgraded to level 3, and she can only upgrade her skills again when she is upgraded. Looking at the time, there is more than half an hour before the reward settlement. He thought for a while and opened the chat channel. At this time, since the leaderboard rewards are about to be released, many people are discussing this topic. There is still half an hour left, and the regional leaderboard will be settled. What kind of rewards do you say will be issued? I don't know, but what rewards are distributed has nothing to do with us melon eaters. I'm so envious, everyone on the list can get rewards. Su Ming's strength is really terrifying, the number of kills and the other 9 combined or more. After settlement, the leaderboard needs to be refreshed and rearranged, right? Next time I want to be on the leaderboard too. You still want to be on the list. Come on, you have to work hard to get on the Kong. .. Although the rewards are only available to the top 10 people, many people who eat melons enthusiastically send messages. At this time, people on the leaderboard also participated in the discussion. Meng Shuier, the rewards are finally going to be distributed, I'm so looking forward to it. Owen, Mr. Su Ming's kill count is far ahead, it's really shocking. Lu Zhou, I hope I can give some useful rewards. Everyone swiped their screens in the chat channel. Su Ming looked at the chat messages for a while, and glanced at the countdown from time to time. Time passed by every minute and every second. At this moment, the countdown finally reset to 0. In an instant, everyone saw a message appear. Regional leaderboard ranking rewards will be issued soon. After the rewards are distributed, the ranking will be reset. Finally come. Su Ming couldn't help but get excited. Based on the ranking of the list and the bonus of the number of kills, the rewards are as follows. First place. Su Ming, rewards, wood 5,000, stone 5,000, iron ore 5,000, gold chest 1. Second place. Owen, rewards, wood 2,000, stone 2,000, iron ore 2,000, bronze treasure chest 1. Third place. Meng Shuier, rewards, wood 1,800, stone 1,800, iron ore 2,000, bronze treasure chest 1. Fourth place. Yin Huan, rewards, wood 1,500, stone 1,500, iron ore 1,500, black iron treasure chest 1. 10th place. Zhou Xingrui, rewards, wood 500, stone 500, iron ore 500, wooden treasure chest 1. Everyone saw the list of rewards, and the chat channel fell into silence for a short while. After a few seconds, everyone was fried. This reward is too much. As the first place rewarded so much. It's simply unscientific. Not to mention anything else, there are 5,000 construction resources alone. It should be that Su Ming has more kills, and there are bonus rewards. Give me the 5,000 resources, and I'll take off right away. Wow, I'm really jealous that the geological wall is separated. The gap between this reward and the boss is getting farther and farther. I don't have any rewards for ranking 11, I'm torn apart. Don't say anything, I will be on the list next time. Everyone was about to cry with envy. At this time, Su Ming was also very happy to see the reward. You can build a lot of defense towers just by building resources, not to mention a golden treasure chest. Just when he was overjoyed, a notification sound came. Because of your superimposed rewards, the rewards are being corrected. Congratulations on your rewards. Wood 10,000, stone 10,000, iron ore 10,000, Baijin treasure chest 1. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. In an instant, Su Ming opened his mouth, speechless in surprise. Call. After a while, he let out a long breath and finally calmed down his excitement. After the rewards are superimposed, the construction resources are doubled directly. And the golden treasure chest has also become a more advanced Baijin treasure chest. You must know that treasure chests are very rare, and he only obtained them after killing mutated calamity creatures. And I have never obtained such a high-level treasure chest. Extraordinarily valuable items can be found in silver treasure chests, let alone Baijin treasure chests. Immediately, he opened the Baijin treasure chest without hesitation. Hey, you opened the Baijin treasure chest. You have obtained the Steel City Wall Construction Blueprint 1. You got the Guardian Spirit Recruitment Scroll 1. You have obtained the Level 2 Flame Tower Upgrade Blueprint *1, the Level 2 Ice Tower Upgrade Blueprint *1. You have obtained a Special Poison Attribute Material 3. You have obtained a Small Laser Tower Construction Blueprint 1. A series of prompts sounded, Su Wu's eyes widened, and he was completely shocked. There are too many things opened in the Baijin treasure chest. After a while, Su Ming began to check the contents of the treasure chest. Steel City Wall Construction Blueprint. Description: you can upgrade your base wall to a stronger steel wall. Construction resources: wood 1,000, stone 5,000, iron ore 10,000, refined iron 1,000. Wall of steel. It sounds like Su Ming is indestructible. Guardian Spirit Recruitment Scroll. Description: after use, a Guardian Spirit can be randomly recruited. You can recruit a Guardian Spirit again. Very nice. After Su Wu glanced at Leah, he then looked at the other two drawings. Level 2 Flame Tower Upgrade Blueprint. Description: you can upgrade the Flame Tower from Level 2 to Level 3 to unlock new attack methods. Upgrade materials: wood 2,000, stone 2,000, iron ore 2,000, flame gem 5, flame rune 5. Level 2 Ice Tower Upgrade Blueprint. Description: you can upgrade the Ice Tower from Level 2 to Level 3 to unlock new attack methods. Upgrade materials: wood 2,000, stone 2,000, iron ore 2,000, ice gem 5, ice rune 5. Both are upgrade blueprints for special defensive towers. Each upgrade unlocks new attacks. However, the demand for gems and runes is a bit high, and they need to be fully collected. Immediately afterwards, there are 3 special poisonous attribute materials, which can be used to upgrade the Wanpoison Tower. It just so happened that after Wandu Pagoda absorbed these 3 materials, it could be upgraded again. Finally, a blueprint for building a small laser tower. He had obtained the same blueprint before, which can be used to place on the Storm Chariot. Check out all the items. At this time, Su Ming picked up the Guardian Spirit Recruitment Scroll and used it directly. The Guardian Spirit Scroll dissipated in Su Ming's hands and turned into dense spots of light. The dots of light rotated to form a star-shaped pattern in the sky. Immediately, the star-shaped pattern became more dazzling, and the void oscillated, causing layers of ripples. A figure gradually appeared from it. After a while, the light dissipated, and a pretty figure appeared in front of Su Ming. Ding, you have successfully recruited the Guardian of Fire, the Flame Heart. Looking at him, she was also a little girl like Leah. She was wearing a fiery red dress, her skin was as white as snow, and the 2 pairs of transparent cicada wings fluttered from time to time. The small face is exquisite, the eyes are shining like stars, and there is a bright flame pattern between the eyebrows. At this time, Su Ming began to check her attributes. Guardian Spirit of Fire, Flame Heart. Type, Special Type. Level, First Level. Loyalty, 80. Skill, Body of Flame IV1. Flame Heart is a natural flame elf, very friendly to fire attributes, so it is immune to most fire attribute damage. At the same time, the effect of all the skills of Yangtze plus 50%, and the recovery of wind energy plus 100%. Flame Punch IV1. Flame Heart gathers fire energy to form a flame punch, causing fire attribute damage to the target. After a while, Su Ming finished watching. Generally speaking, Yangtze's attributes are similar to Leah's at the first level. And from the looks of it, Yangtze is of the fire element. 593. That Yangtze should absorb the fire gems and runes to strengthen himself. While Su Ming was pondering, a childish and pleasant voice came. Master, Yangtze is here to protect you. Hearing this, Su Ming showed a smile on his face. Yangtze, then you must become stronger as soon as possible. After finishing speaking, a flame gem appeared in the palm of his hand, and he handed it to Yan Xin. Wow! Immediately, Yangtze stared at the flame gem with his eyes fixed on it. Really? The corner of Su Ming's mouth curled up. Yangtze's performance proved his guess was correct. Master, is this for me? Yangtze stared at Su Ming with big eyes, and asked cautiously. That's right, it's for Yangtze. He nodded in response. As soon as the words fell, Yan Xin flapped her wings and flew to his side, and then bit the flame gem. Well, it's so fragrant. Yangtze praised while eating, and rows of teeth marks appeared on the plump and round gems. Ding, Yangtze is in a happy mood, loyalty +1. Master, Leah is also hungry. On the shoulder, Leah whispered. Forehead, didn't Leah just eat it? Hungry again. Su Ming turned his head in doubt, but seeing her eyes staring directly at Yangtze who was eating zhangshang, he understood. There is a high probability that this little guy is greedy when he sees other people's delicious food. But being able to eat is a blessing, and the more you eat, the faster you will become stronger. Immediately, Su Ming took out a wind element gem with the other hand and handed it to Leah. Immediately, the 2 guardian spirits started gobbling. In less than a minute, Leah finished eating first, and sat on Su Ming's shoulder in satisfaction. After another minute, Yangtze also ate up the entire flame gem. Yangtze hiccuped in satisfaction, and his eyelids began to drop uncontrollably. Master, Yangtze is sleepy. Before she finished speaking, she threw her head on Su Ming's arm and fell asleep directly. At this time, a cold reminder sounded. Your guardian spiritual flame heart has absorbed enough fire energy and is in the process of upgrading. Good guy. Immediately advanced after eating. At this time, Yangtze's whole body exuded a faint fiery red light, which was the same as when Leah advanced. Su Ming was silent. With one more flame heart, the safety of going out of the base will be greatly improved in the future. After about 10 minutes, your guardian spirit, Yangtze, the upgrade is complete. Yan Xin realized the attack skill, Searing Ray. Yangtze realized the attack skill, Blazing Fireball. The reminder sounded, and Yan Xin blinked twice and woke up. Ding, Flame Heart has absorbed the flame gem you gave to become stronger, loyalty +1. After being promoted, Yan Xin comprehended 2 skills. Scorching Ray LV1. Flame Heart has mastered a more subtle fire power, which can gather scorching flames to form rays, penetrating blocked targets. Blazing Fireball IV1. Flame Heart further masters the power of the fire element, forming a burning big fireball rolling out, devouring all enemies on the path, and finally producing an explosion. Is Flame Heart still a fighter? The comprehended skills are all attack skills except the body of flame. Now that Yangtze has been upgraded, skills can also be upgraded. Su Ming took out 2 exquisite and small flame runes. Immediately, Yangtze's attention was all on the rune. After a while, the 2 flame runes lost their luster, and all the power contained in them was absorbed by the flame heart. Ding, your guardian spirit, Flame Heart, has absorbed enough power of fire runes, and has mastered the power of fire more profoundly, and the skill Body of Flame has been upgraded to level 2. Ding, your guardian spirit, Yangtze, has absorbed enough power of fire runes, and has mastered the power of fire more profoundly, and the skill Flame Punch has been upgraded to level 2. After absorbing the power of 2 flame runes, the loyalty of Flameheart also increased by 2 points. However, her strength is also temporarily saturated, and she can no longer absorb the power of runes. At this time, Yangtze followed Leah's example and sat down on Su Ming's other shoulder. Seeing this, Su Ming was stunned. The 2 little guys used their shoulders as cushions. Leah, you play with Yangtze first, I still have something to do. Su Ming dragged the 2 off his shoulders and said. He still has to digest today's harvest. Immediately, he took out a few blueprints, glanced at them, and found that Leah was already holding Yangtze's little hand and flying towards his bedroom. The blueprints in hand are all found in Baijin treasure chests. Except for the temporary shortage of materials for the 2 special defense towers, there are enough materials for the Steel City Wall and the Laser Tower. The only trouble is refining refined iron. Thousands of fine iron, I'm afraid it will take a whole night to refine. After walking to the smelting furnace, lighting a fire and putting in the iron ore, he could only wait slowly. During the period, he opened the trading platform, compiled the flame, ice gem and rune trading information, and put it on the top. For half an hour, people traded with him one after another. He also finally acquired enough gems and runes. Immediately, he picked up the blueprint for upgrading the flame and ice and used it directly. Immediately, the 2 blueprints dissipated into dots of light, covering the ice tower and flame tower. Boom! Vibration sounded from time to time. The appearance of the 2 defensive towers is constantly getting bigger and taller under the wrapping of light. After a few minutes, the light dissipated. Ding! Your flame tower has been upgraded to level 3. Ding! Your ice tower has reached level 3. The 2 towers have been upgraded, and they look more exquisite and unique in appearance, with lines engraved from the top of the tower to the bottom of the tower. Towering on the stone wall, it is larger than other defense towers. And their properties have also changed. Flame Toe. Type: Special Defense Tower. Level: Level 3. Attack Method: Firestorm, Wall of Fire. Rain of Flames. In the area with a specified radius of 20 meters, a rain of flames will be released, and a wave of fire rain will be released every second, causing high and continuous fire damage to the enemy. Duration: 30s, Consumption: 2000 energy. Attack Range: 600 meters. Charge Limit: 5000 10,000ths. Charging Speed: Increase by 15 points per second. Ice Tower. Type: Special Defense Tower. Level: Level 3. Attack Method: Ice Field, Frozen Prison. Wall of Frost Crystal. Summon an ice wall with a radius of 25 meters to block the movement of the target. All units within the ice wall will slow down by 50% and suffer 50 points of freezing damage per second. Duration: 1 minute. Consumption: 2000 points of charge. Attack Range: 600 meters. 5000 10,000ths. Charge per second: 15 points. After the upgrade, both defense towers have been greatly promoted. The attack range has been increased by 200 meters, and the charging limit and speed have been doubled. And have unlocked more powerful attack methods. The refined iron is refined, your refined iron plus 50. At this time, a furnace of refined iron was refined. After taking it out, Su Ming poured it into the corresponding iron ore to continue refining. During this period, he turned on the channel. After the settlement, the rankings on the regional leaderboards are all cleared. It needs to be refreshed one day later before the ranking appears again. After receiving rich rewards, he made a decision to occupy the top spot. In this regard, he is very confident. His base development is already far ahead of others, and he has an advantage that others do not have. He can drive a chariot out to hunt wandering illager creatures. When Su Ming was thinking, sudden, a blood-red message appeared on the channel. Warning, warning, a catastrophic frenzy is coming. Please note that this time is a giant disaster frenzy, the risk factor is extremely high, everyone is ready to develop their own base. Countdown to the arrival of the giant disaster frenzy, 1800. Giant calamity frenzy. Su Ming frowned and muttered a few words, then his eyes lit up. It seems that the giant disaster frenzy is more dangerous than the previous few times. Therefore, Compared to the previous calamity frenzy, there should be stronger and more calamity creatures coming this time. This means, he can harvest more resources. It would be even better if there were 1 or 2 projections of Calamity Gate near the base. But now it is night, he can only go to see if there is a projection coming near the base during the day. With the defensive capabilities of his base, Su-Ming is full of confidence and doesn't have to worry about defensive issues at all. But others don't think so. After the prompt came out, everyone was all fried. I'm not mistaken, the disaster frenzy is coming again. And this time it's still a giant disaster frenzy, so it's even more difficult to defend. It's hard to defend ordinary ones, let alone giant ones. I feel so cold. Wave after wave, let no one live. There is less than a day left. What should I do? What should I do? Do you have any advice from the boss? It is recommended to use all resources to build defense towers. And try to trade all unnecessary items into usable ones. I'm going to find the leader of the list to exchange resources. Everyone was discussing anxiously, worried and fearful about the coming giant frenzy. Many people have emptied their inventories and replaced all treasured items with construction resources. One night, many people could not fall asleep. The same is true for Su-Ming, who tirelessly refines refined iron. After one night, he finally got all the refined iron. With thousands of fine irons in hand, Su-Ming decided to build the laser tower first. Laser towers require energy gems. He opened the points mall and spent 2,000 points to redeem it. Subsequently, he directly used the blueprints for the construction of the laser tower. The blueprint suddenly turned into a beam of light, and gradually formed a phantom of a defense tower. A few seconds later, the construction of the laser tower was completed, and 2 Wenchen appeared on it. It can be placed on the storm tank. Is it installed? Install. In a blink of an eye, the laser tower disappeared in front of my eyes. In the next second, 2 half-meter-high laser towers were placed on the groove of the storm chariot. Then, he took out 3 poison attribute materials for Wanleda to absorb. Ding! The Wandu tower has absorbed enough materials and is upgrading. A minute later, a larger Wandu pagoda towered over the city wall. Su-Ming looked at its properties panel. Wan Poison Tower. Type: Special Defense Tower. Level: Level 3. Amount of poisonous material absorbed: 0/10. Toxic Fog, Poison Explosion. Poison Wave Surge. Drop a highly poisonous seed at the designated position, and the seed will burst into a poison wave after 1 second, sweeping the area within a radius of 25 meters, causing high poison attribute damage. Duration: 20s. Consumption: 1000 energy. Additional effects: Weakness: Corrosion. Attack range: 600 meters. 5,000 10,000ths. Charging speed: 15 per second. Following the Ice and Flame Tower, the Wandu Tower has also been upgraded to the 3rd level. The 3rd level Wandu Pagoda not only has a large increase in various attributes, but also unlocks more powerful skills. The overall improvement is huge. After a while, Su-Ming took a deep breath, and took out the construction blueprint of the Steel City Wall with anticipation. All resources are met. Without any hesitation, use it directly. The blueprint turned into countless light spots and floated towards the stone wall. Soon, the stone wall was wrapped in dazzling light. Rumble. In the light, the sound of roaring came continuously, and the ground seemed to be shaking. As time went by, the city wall began to rise and become wider. In just 5 minutes, the height of the city wall has doubled, and the defense tower above can only be seen by looking up. The movement continued, and Su-Ming waited for another 5 minutes. Finally the white light dissipated. Standing in front of Su-Ming is a 20-meter-high steel city wall. I saw that its surface is gray and black, and it is poured with refined iron. Just looking at it, it gives people a solid, heavy, inviolable and awe-inspiring feeling. He walked up the stairs slowly. The space on the city wall has also more than doubled, with a width of 5 or 6 meters. Even if 2 rows of defensive towers are built, there is enough space. Immediately, he opened the construction panel and began to build a large number of arrow towers and catapult towers. After a while, the arrow tower and the catapult tower were built, and he directly upgraded them to the bone arrow tower and the boulder tower. So far, 200 bone arrow towers and 200 stone towers have been displayed on the steel city wall. The defense ability is greatly improved. Looking down on the vast plain from the high wall, you can have a panoramic view of everything around you, and feel that everything is under your feet. The safety factor of the steel city wall is not comparable to that of the stone wall, and it is not an exaggeration to describe it as solid. After building the steel city walls and defensive towers, his resources are now basically transformed into strength. The main resources are as follows. Construction resources. Wood 5,200, stone 3,100, iron ore 800, refined iron 50. Gem runes. Fire gem 3, fire rune 2, wind gem 4, wind rune 4, lightning gem 1, ice rune 1. The gemstone runes of fire and wind are consumed by the two guardian spirits every day, and he needs to reserve a certain amount of construction resources to exchange them. After a sleepless night, Su Ming also felt a little sleepy. Turn on the channel and take a look, and there are still 10 hours before the giant disaster frenzy. It's still a long time, and it should be almost the same when I wake up from sleep. Immediately, he walked down the city wall and returned to his bedroom to sleep. Wake up, it's already afternoon. Su Ming turned on the channel, and it was less than 2 hours before the giant calamity frenzy came. While he was sleeping, many people tried their best to trade more construction resources to improve the defense capabilities of their bases. At this time, many people strengthened the defense of the base and sent messages in the chat channel. What a panic, the countdown is still over an hour away. The resources are all spent, I hope I can hold on to this disaster frenzy. It's still 100 stones short, can someone give me some charity, please? I don't know how much will be left after this disaster frenzy. It doesn't matter how many people he has left, I just need to survive. Fortunately, there is no calamity gate projection next to the base, otherwise it would be really cold. Indeed, no projection is a blessing in misfortune. In the channel, many people sent messages worriedly, and some people had spent all their resources and had already laid down and resigned to their fate. One message after another is constantly being refreshed. At this moment, Su Ming read the news for a while, but frowned. Calamity gate projection. How did I forget about this? Su Ming slapped his thigh suddenly and ran to the top of the city wall. Standing on the high wall, the scene around the base can be seen at a glance. No, not a single calamity's projection. On the vast plain, everything was the same as before, without any change. Su Ming was speechless, twice. During the two calamity frenzy, there was no calamity gate projection next to his base. This made him very uncomfortable. Without projection, the number of villagers attacking will be greatly reduced. The harvest in the disaster frenzy will also be greatly reduced. Moreover, there is now an additional regional leaderboard. The number of calamity creatures killed determines the ranking and reward bonus. Without projection, not only will there be fewer dropped items, but there will also be fewer list rewards, and the ranking may not even be able to compete with others. Ah, Su Ming sighed, his face a little melancholy. Suddenly I miss the previous two disaster frenzy. Wrong. Suddenly, Su Ming thought of something and was shocked. Base move card. There is no projection, but I can pass the mobile base over there. Take the initiative to attack, the effect is the same. However, he doesn't know the location of the projection of the door of disaster. Su Ming suddenly thought of this key question. He bowed his head and thought for a few seconds before opening the chat channel. He went straight to writing the headline. Gate of Calamity Projection Location Reward. Content. Find the location of the projection of the door of disaster, and those who provide valuable clues will be rewarded by myself. This piece of news was sent out, and it was directly posted on the top of the chat channel, which was extremely eye-catching. Due to time constraints, he had no choice but to attach a reward, so that someone should be able to contact him soon. In an instant, everyone saw the message. A reward. Find the projection location of the Calamity Gate. I'm confused, what does this bounty mean? Boss Su Ming, what are you doing here? Even if you know the location, so what, you still want to go there? Could it be that Mr. Su Ming is going to take the initiative to attack the projection of the Calamity Gate? What the upstairs said makes sense. There's a reason, the disaster frenzy is coming, there are monsters everywhere, tell me how to get out. That's right. Su Ming looked at it for a while, feeling a little disappointed. Everyone is watching the excitement, and no one has provided valuable clues yet. He continued to watch. Does anyone know the location of the projection of the door of disaster? You can tell me quietly. Dog, I told you if you want to receive a reward. Does anyone know the location? Wouldn't it be nice to offer a reward for a blank ticket? By the way, I don't seem to have heard that anyone saw the projection of the Calamity Gate this time. Everyone said that they had not seen the projection. Su Ming was suspicious for a while. Could it be that there is no projection of the door of disaster in this giant calamity frenzy? Suddenly, he glanced and saw a message. Zhu Yu, who said there is no Calamity Gate projection. There are several outside my base. I am desperate. Several, just blow. Someone said that just now. Brother, don't you just want to cheat rewards? It's really unnecessary. Zhu Yu, hee, I'm bragging. I'm about to die and still want to brag. True or false? Several Tongjiman projections. Seeing this, Su Ming was also puzzled. Ding! Suddenly, the private message bar began to flicker. He opened it and saw that it was the man named Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu 870. Boss Su Ming, there is a projection of the Calamity Gate next to my base, and there are several more. Su Ming, really or not? He didn't believe it, but the other side replied quickly. Zhu Yu, it's absolutely true, but I told you the location. Is there really a reward? Su Ming, if you prove it is true, there will definitely be a reward. After sending, the other party did not reply for a long time. Su Ming frowned. It seemed that this person really came to cheat the reward. Ding! Suddenly, Zhu Yu sent another message. Zhu Yu, boss, take a look, attached photo. Really? Su Ming's eyes lit up, and he opened the picture he sent. Immediately, he was stunned. This picture should be taken by him just now. Outside his base, several black vortexes appeared. 1, 2.5. I am here, the projection of the 5 doors of disaster. This is too outrageous. Su Ming opened his mouth wide in surprise. After a while, he calmed down and replied. Su Ming, brother, you have 5 portal projections of disaster, you are so lucky. The message was sent out, and it took a while for the opposite party to reply to the message. Zhu Yu, don't be kidding me, sir, I'll die as soon as the countdown is over, alas. From the tone of voice, you can see that the other side is very desperate. Zhu Yu, boss, can I claim the reward? Su Ming, okay, what do you want? The other side seemed to be thinking, and after 2 minutes, he replied. Zhu Yu, the 5 projections, I can't keep them, all resources are useless, let's eat something good before leaving. Boss, do you still have spirit fruit wine? Spirit fruit wine. He now has less than 1 altar left. After thinking about it, Su Ming split half of it and made a deal with the other party. Knowing the location, he took out the base movement card. Base area mobile card. Description. In the same area, you can instantly move the base to any designated location. Looking at the time, it was less than half an hour before the calamity storm came. He no longer hesitated, and directly used the base movement card. The mobile card in the base area is in use, please locate it. Immediately, Su Ming saw a virtual light and shadow map formed on the mobile card. Mountains, rivers, plains and hills, all can be seen at a glance. There is a small red dot on the map, which is his current location. From the map, there are 2 other people's bases near his base, on which the name of the base owner is marked. Is this a map of the entire area? Su Ming opened his mouth in surprise. The entire map is very large, but fortunately there is also a search and location function. He directly entered the word Zhu Yu in the location bar. The next moment, the screen on the map changed. When I looked again, a base appeared in the center of the map, with the word Zhu Yu marked on it. Su Ming zoomed in on the map, and 5 small black dots appeared outside his base. It is the projection of the door of disaster. Position here. He pointed to the map and said. Positioning is successful, your base is about to start moving. Boom. Suddenly, there was a series of shocking sounds. Houses, fruit trees, and city walls all began to tremble slightly. Su Ming looked at all this in amazement, the change seemed a bit big. Hey, master, are there any monsters attacking the base? At this time, Leah and Yangtze flew out, their eyes full of doubt and vigilance. Su Ming smiled lightly. It's okay, we're moving. Suddenly, there was a change in the sky. Looking up, a slender black line suddenly appeared in the originally calm sky, as if a hole had been torn apart in the space. The slender black line began to twist and rotate, gradually forming a black hole vortex. Wow, look, Master, what a beautiful bubble. Leah suddenly said happily. Bubbles. Su Ming looked in the direction of her finger. Over the base, at some point, a layer of bubble-like light film has appeared, and under the sunlight, it exudes colorful light. After walking up to the city wall, he realized that the light film had completely covered his base. Boom! Suddenly, the entire base trembled violently. Su Ming staggered and almost fell to the ground. When he stood still, he found himself getting farther and farther away from the ground. The entire base is wrapped in a light film and rises into the sky. Looking up, the black hole above the base Li Tian is getting closer and closer. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly went dark, and his surroundings were plunged into endless darkness. It is getting closer and closer to the giant disaster frenzy. Some people are still trying their best to improve their defense, but more people are silently watching the countdown. The countdown to the arrival of the giant disaster frenzy. 3, 2, 1. The moment the countdown was reset to 0, everyone couldn't help holding their breath, and their nerves tensed up immediately. Buzz. Suddenly, a strange energy fluctuation swept the entire world. Depressed, dull, everyone felt this wave of fluctuations, as if a big rock was pressing on their hearts, making people uncomfortable and out of breath. A strange black mist gradually rose in the air. The sky gradually became gray. And soon, the black mist became thicker and thicker, completely blocking the vision like darkness. Ho ho ho, caw caw caw, boom boom boom. At the same time, everyone heard the roar of the sky and the sound of footsteps in the black mist. Dense blue and scarlet rays of light floated in the black mist, looking cold and terrifying. At this time, the wind blew like a knife, and the black mist gradually dissipated. What was exposed was densely packed, countless ferocious monsters, swarming in. Zhu Yu stood on the city wall, his eyes fixed on the distance. There, the projections of the 5 disaster gates fluctuated suddenly. In a moment, 5 10-meter-high bloody titans descended suddenly. Immediately afterwards, a steady stream of elite monsters poured out from the projection. Tier 4 Elite. Tier 5 Elite. Zhu Yu's face was gloomy. Even though he already knew that he was going to die, he still held a trace of luck. But the crazy elite monsters shattered his fantasy completely. It is impossible for him to defend against this huge number and desperate levels. No, no one in the world can defend it. Goo. After taking a sip of spirit fruit wine, the aroma of fruit and wine overflowed, and my head began to feel dizzy. He opened the channel, and at this time some people were sending messages, expressing their despair and fear. This is too much, there is no way to defend. There's a monster out of the 5th level, who can stand it? Nima, there are at least 1,000 of these monsters. Zhu Yu laughed, isn't it the 5th rank? There are hundreds of 5th rank elites here. In the next second, he faced the front and recorded a few seconds of video. Immediately, a field certificate was issued. Zhu Yu, who has more here than me? Video. The video was sent out, and some people clicked on it one after another. In the video, densely packed ferocious monsters roared and charged. Suddenly, when the camera turned, 5 black vortices appeared, which were particularly eye-catching. Next to it, piles of huge monsters gathered. That figure, which is taller than the city wall, makes one's scalp tingle. Immediately, everyone exploded. My eyesight is not good, the projection of the 5 disaster gates. 5. You can go buy a lottery ticket. If there is a place to buy one. Worry, I thought I was miserable enough, but I didn't expect there to be someone worse than me. Nima, take the lead to defend. Look, there are still monsters coming out of the projection. Brother, don't say too much, take care. Swish swish. At this time, dozens of catapults had already begun to attack. Huge stones drew an arc in the air, and then precisely hit the attacking disaster creatures. Because their numbers were too dense, one stone directly knocked down several monsters. But there are too many of them. The monsters in front fell down, and more rushed up from behind. Whoosh! His arrow tower also began to attack. The densely packed arrows fell all over the sky, which looked extremely shocking. But the damage of the arrow tower is too low. When a round of arrow rain fell, only a few disaster creatures fell down. At this time, the frontmost disaster creature was less than 100 meters away from his base. Zhu Yu could already imagine the scene where the base was destroyed at the last minute. Suddenly, a strange sound came from the sky. He looked up. In the originally calm sky, a huge black hole appeared at some point. Another calamity portal projection. Oh, you really think highly of me. A desperate smile appeared on Zhu Yu's face. But it's worth dying for. I died after being attacked by 6 disaster gates. He started to shoot videos, recording the last moments of his life, and prepared to post them to the channel before he died, for everyone to see. How Lao Su Zhu Yu died heroically. At this moment, a dazzling light shot out from the black hole in the sky. This is. Zhu Yu frowned. For a moment, the light became more and more dazzling. A monster has arrived. How many times is this calamity creature bigger than its own base? Zhu Yu was astonished, his mouth opened wide. In the air, the huge thing was wrapped in a mask and floated in the air force. The huge figure inside the mask can be vaguely seen. But looking at it, he felt a sense of familiarity inexplicably. Suddenly, the huge mask suddenly began to descend towards the ground. Every time a point falls, the light emitted from it becomes dim. When it was about to fall to the ground, Guangshuan completely turned into a transparent film. The scene inside is unobstructed. Immediately, Zhu Yu was stunned. This is an unforgettable scene in his life. Inside the mask is actually a base. The towering city walls and densely packed defensive towers all proved his ideas. A city of steel fell from the sky. Zhu Yu was completely bewildered, completely unaware of what happened. Is this a human base? Or a disaster creature? How could it fall from the sky? Suddenly, the speed at which this city of steel descended suddenly accelerated. The trajectory of the landing is the center of the projection of the 5 gates of disaster. Boom! At this moment, the city of steel completely landed on the ground, and suddenly there was a loud noise, and dust and smoke billowed. After a while, the dust dissipated, and a huge steel city stood there. Zhu Yu stared blankly at the past. The first thing that catches the eye is the towering and solid steel city wall. The Nujiao looks indestructible, impenetrable, and even gives people a sense of inviolability. On the city wall are densely packed defense towers. Judging from the appearance of these defensive towers, there are at least 5 or 6 types, but he doesn't know each of them. The white defense tower has some traces of the arrow tower, but it looks more delicate and ingenious, and a sharp murderous aura comes from the air. There are also the column-like defensive towers, which feel thick and solid. Turning his gaze, there is a mysterious defense tower on the left and right sides of the city wall. One is bright red and the other is blue. They are several times larger than all the defense towers, and they are particularly conspicuous. Because the distance was too far, he could only vaguely see the outline. But even so, Zhu Yu was completely shocked by the appearance of the city of steel. Compared with the opponent, his base is completely like a dilapidated thatched cottage. Okay. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He saw that most of the calamity creatures around him gave up attacking him, turned their heads and rushed towards the city of steel. In an instant, there were no disaster creatures attacking him, and the defensive pressure was reduced by more than half. Don't you have to die? Zhu Yu began to get excited. But the next second he frowned again. In front, countless disaster creatures surrounded them, and even all the elite monsters participated in the attack. Can you defend it? Developed. A smile bloomed on Su Ming's face. As far as the eye can see, there are densely packed disaster creatures under the city wall. In his eyes, each one is a moving resource monster, which may drop shocking treasures at any time. Because at this time, his base landed in the middle of the 5 disaster gate projections. A steady stream of elite monsters poured out from the projection, swarming towards his base. He took a deep breath to calm down his excitement. The next moment, 200 bone arrow towers and giant stone towers launched an attack. And he also began to control various special defense towers, aiming at the incoming disaster groups. A steady stream of disaster creatures are about to approach the city of steel. Why haven't you launched your defense yet? Zhu Yu clenched his fists, looking hopeful. Seeing that the dense disaster creatures are less than 50 meters away from the City of Steel, it will be too late if you don't clean up the monsters. Whoosh! At this moment, he saw that the densely packed white defense towers started to attack at the same time. Arrows flew out one by one. It really is an arrow tower. Could it be that the arrow tower has been upgraded to a high-level form? Zhu Yu's thoughts raced and he kept guessing. Although there are so many arrow towers, I feel that I can't clean them up. Suddenly, he let out an exclamation. What the hell is this? Nima, the arrows you shoot are all practiced into lines. Can this rate of fire be exaggerated a bit more? Zhu Yu complained in shock, witnessing the overwhelming rain of arrows shooting into the disaster biome. Minus 1,221. Minus 1,345. Minus 1,500. Minus 1,421. A series of dense damage values floated up, almost connecting into pieces. Wally, what the hell kind of harm is this? Zhu Yu rubbed his eyes, and went again in disbelief. More than 1,000. The damage of each shot is more than 1,000. Directly knock out a quarter of the health of those calamity creatures. Whoosh! The whistling sound of his own arrow tower came from his ears. The dense arrows shot quickly. Minus 103. Minus 121. 183 to 135. Forehead. This is a third-level arrow tower, so I can only deal more than 100 damage. More than 10 times the damage gap. Totally incomparable. When Zhu Yu was already beyond shock, he saw at the next moment. The column-like defense tower sprang out huge stones. Catapult upgraded version. Zhu Yu quickly thought of his catapult. Swish. Huge stones are projected out crazily, attacking 4 times a second. Although it is not as fast as the White Arrow Tower's attack speed, the whole scene is even more shocking. This kind of defense tower seems to be a range of damage, and it should be able to resist the impact of calamity creatures temporarily. Boom, boom. Suddenly, a shocking explosion sounded. Immediately afterwards, a series of non-stop explosions came through, and the deafening sound resounded through the sky. Minus 1,800. Minus 1,921. Minus 1,799. Under Zhu Yu's dull gaze, all the projected boulders exploded. The high amount of explosion damage instantly emptied the calamity creatures in an area. The damage is higher than that of the White Arrow Tower. The key is that every attack is range damage. In this kind of disaster frenzy where monsters are densely piled up, this kind of defense tower is simply a harvesting machine. Zhu Yu felt himself numb with shock. At the same time, a deep envy welled up in my heart. If he also has such a powerful defense tower, wouldn't he be able to defend it easily? Wrong. At this time, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed in his mind. The attack methods of the 2 defense towers are exactly the same as those of the Arrow Tower and the Catapult Tower. Could it be that the Arrow Tower and the Catapult Tower can become so powerful after being continuously upgraded? Thinking of this, he was so excited that his breath became short of breath. There was hope in Zhu Yu's eyes. He quickly opened the chat channel, and the speech in the channel was filled with pessimistic and desperate atmosphere. Randomly, he wrote a message and sent it out. Zhu Yu, let's see, it turns out that the Arrow Tower and the Catapult Tower will be so strong after they are continuously upgraded. Video. He wants everyone to see that such a strong defense tower exists. Humans can still defeat disaster creatures. In the channel, many people noticed this piece of information, opened the video and began to watch it. The whole video is not long, just over a minute. At the beginning of the video, you can see a towering city wall, which looks like a base. On the city wall, densely packed defensive towers were built. These defensive towers are tall and towering, with a cold luster. At this time, these defense towers are attacking frantically. Arrows and huge boulders attacked outside the city continuously. When I turned my gaze, I saw countless calamity creatures coming from outside the city like a tide. Whoosh, bang bang. At this time, countless attacks descended from the sky. The overwhelming arrows came like raindrops. In an instant, the disaster creature at the front was shot into a sieve. The high damage of breaking thousands made everyone speechless. But then, a more shocking scene came. The following boulders smashed into the dense group of monsters. In the next second, the boulder exploded directly, and the area was immediately emptied. The video ended abruptly at this point, and everyone was dumbfounded and immersed in boundless shock. After a while, they finally came to their senses. In an instant, the chat channel boiled over. What kind of fairy defense tower is this? Nima, a random hit can cause over 1,000 damage, it's blinding my eyes. It doesn't matter if the damage is high, but the attack speed is so fast, it's too outrageous. With this kind of defense tower, are you afraid of disaster creatures? Come and kill one, come and kill a group. And the city wall is too tall, it looks solid, full of security. This defense is too simple. It was crushed directly. I'm so envious. There are only 2 words to describe: invincible. Does anyone know what kind of defensive tower this is? I want to build it too. Zuyu, tell me what kind of defense tower this is. Look carefully, these 2 defensive towers, one is arrow attack, the other is boulder attack, which are related to arrow tower and catapult tower respectively. Could it be? Is this an upgraded version of the arrow tower and the catapult tower? As long as you keep upgrading, can you become so strong? Makes sense. Really. Everyone expressed their shock in the channel one after another, and at the same time hope emerged in their hearts. A steady stream of catastrophic creatures attacked and took away a lot of fresh life. Many people have become numb and desperate, and there is no hope at all. But the towering city wall seemed invincible. No matter how many catastrophic creatures were directly crushed, they all saw the possibility of survival. The fighting spirit was aroused again. As long as you persevere, you will eventually defeat the darkness. At this time, someone, CCEB, also noticed the name Zuyu. Zuyu, I remember that there are 5 disaster gate projections next to his base. He is not dead yet, so he is defending it. That's right. Where's Zuyuran? Where did he shoot this video? And in the video, whose base is that? Or the city of the world's natives? When everyone came back to their senses, they were puzzled. At this time, Yu also sent another message. Zuyu, you will understand after watching this video. As soon as the video was posted, everyone clicked to play it. I saw that the beginning of the video was the scene of a giant disaster frenzy coming. Countless calamity creatures rushed to the base. That's fine, they've just been through the same scene. But the next moment, the camera was aimed directly at the sky, where a huge black hole suddenly appeared. Another calamity gate projection. Everyone was shocked. Then, a huge mask suddenly descended from the black hole, floating in the air. It can be seen faintly that there is a huge monster inside. Immediately afterwards, the huge mask fell straight to the ground. In the end, the camera lengthened, and everyone discovered that there were 5 black vortices in the distance. And the landing trajectory of the huge mask is exactly in the middle of the 5 black vortices. At this time, the mask has dissipated. A towering city of steel suddenly appeared. At this point, the video ended, and after a few seconds of silence, everyone erupted. My God, this is the city of steel that fell from the sky. At first I thought it was the projection of the door of disaster. Where did this teleport come from? Is this the base? It's too majestic. It's several times bigger than my base. Zuyu, you are so lucky, this city of steel has appeared, completely attracting disaster creatures. Yeah, otherwise he would be so cold. Hehe, maybe the people inside will kill him immediately after defending against the calamity frenzy. After watching the video, everyone understood the whole story. Some people envy, some people ridicule. But Zuyu ignored it. At this time, all attention was once again attracted by the city of steel in the distance. During this time, under the abnormal attack speed and damage of the 2 defensive towers, the attack of the calamity creature was abruptly blocked, and the defensive circle kept pushing outward. In the beginning, the calamity creatures were only tens of meters away from attacking the city of steel. But now, the nearest disaster creature is nearly 200 meters away from the city of steel. Roar! But at this time, the elite monsters descending from the projections of the 5 disaster gates began to attack. A 10-meter-high bloody titan roared upwards, its huge muscles bulging like refined iron. They also held a thick iron chain in their hands, and a huge spiked iron ball was connected to the other end. Every time they took a step, they directly stepped over a distance of 7 or 8 meters, and the ground shook endlessly. Crash! As they walked, the spiked iron ball dragged on the ground, pulling out several deep ravines. In just over 10 seconds, they covered a distance of hundreds of meters. Swish. At this time, huge boulders drew a huge arc in the air and smashed towards them precisely. Within a breath, boulders will hit their heads. Crash. At this time, the iron chains made a crisp collision sound. I saw these bloody titans grasping the thick iron chains with both hands, and the muscles all over their bodies were violent. The heavy iron ball dragged on the ground was suddenly thrown into the air. Boom. In the next second, the spiked iron ball directly hit the roaring boulder. The iron ball and boulder were in a stalemate for half a second in the air. Zhu Yu clearly saw that the iron ball was 2 points bigger than the boulder. In the next second, the boulder exploded directly, and countless fine and sharp gravel swept across. Jingle. The rubble after the explosion kept hitting the spiked iron ball, and there was a violent metal collision sound. After a while, the explosion ended, and there was no trace on the iron ball. Then, the iron ball fell straight from the sky to the ground. Boom. Immediately, a heavy iron ball smashed a huge hole in the ground, the mud flew up, and the dust and smoke billowed. This wave of attacks was completely blocked. Zhu Yu was terrified. His eyes widened, looking straight at those bloody titans. In his heart, those tall defensive towers are invincible, and can directly destroy all disaster creatures. But now their attacks were easily blocked. Roar. The bloody titans let out roars that shook the sky, like demon gods, and their huge size gave Zhu Yu a sense of invincibility. Suddenly, a thick haze shrouded his heart again. Could this incomparably powerful city of steel also be unable to block the attacks of calamity creatures? Is humanity doomed to be wiped out? Zhu Yu felt extremely heavy. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A dense green fog suddenly appeared, covering the bloody titan. At the same time, a dazzling flame suddenly lit up. Boom. At the same moment, there seemed to be a thunderous sound in the sky. What's the situation? Zhu Yu was taken aback by the sudden change. He opened his mouth wide and stared blankly ahead. I saw that outside the city of steel, the menacing bloody titan was suddenly violently blocked. BB. A dense green fog diffused out, enveloping dozens of bloody titans. Immediately, their movements slowed down, and countless arrows and boulders swarmed towards them. They dragged the iron chains and wanted to fight back, but before the iron ball could be thrown out, a series of attacks hit them head-on and face-to-face. In an instant, the health of these bloody titans dropped by half. At the same time, their skin began to fester in large areas, and the blood that flowed out in large quantities was tinged with faint green. Minus 3,323. Minus 3,445. Minus 3,567. Pieces of blood red damage values floated out. The even higher damage value made Zhu Yu dumbfounded, and he didn't know what to do anymore. Originally, he thought that the previous two defense towers were strong enough. But even more outrageous defense towers appeared. Roar. At this time, a bloody titan wailed, and its body slowly leaned back. Boom. The huge body fell heavily on the ground, and the ground was shaking slightly. At this moment, his whole body turned green and began to swell rapidly. Boom. There was a loud bang. The huge corpse exploded directly, and immediately, flesh and blood flew everywhere, and a terrifying explosion wave swept over. The two bloody titans next to it were directly impacted by the explosion, and the remaining HP was instantly emptied. The corpses were heavy to the bottom, and in the next second, their bodies also began to swell rapidly. Bang bang. Suddenly, the two corpses also exploded, impacting more bloody titans, and directly emptied their life points. Immediately, as if the fuse was ignited, more and more corpses began to explode, and the affected area spread instantly. In a few seconds, the bloody titan in the green mist area was emptied by successive explosions. At this time, Zhu Yu's eyes had turned to another place. I saw that all the bloody titans in this area were swallowed by a large area of flames soaring into the sky. Minus 4,021. Minus 4,131. Minus 4,205. Zhu Yu was dumbfounded by the damage of breaking 4,000. After a while, the flames dissipated. More than a dozen bloody titans in the center of the flames have fallen to the ground. At the edge, there are still more than 20 bloody titans whose blood volume has been reduced by more than half, and most of the skin on their bodies has been burned beyond recognition. Even the iron chains on their hands were burned red by the high-temperature flames. They let out deafening roars from time to time, dragging their bodies riddled with holes and continuing to attack. Suddenly, the sky above their heads twisted. For a moment, dots of flames appeared in the sky. Immediately afterwards, these fire points began to fall to the ground, and the trajectory of the fall was the bloody titan that had just been burned. Flame rain, Zhu Yu exclaimed. This continuous unheard-of situation made him completely stupefied. The flames were densely packed like raindrops, falling to the ground. I saw that every time these fire lights fell, the fire became stronger against the wind. When they fell to the nearby ground, groups of fireballs the size of lanterns slammed into the bloody titan. Chi-chi, on the head, on the arms, on the chest, on the thighs. Fiery flames were burning everywhere. They screamed continuously as they were burned, and their big hands frantically beat the flames on their bodies. But the continuous rain of flames poured down, and the flames on his body became more and more intense. A series of damage values floated up one after another. In a few seconds, these bloody titans fell down in pieces like grass. Boom! Suddenly, dull bombardment sounds attracted Zhu Yu's attention. Looking up, there was lightning and thunder in the sky on the other side. Strips of dazzling lightning flashed in the air, like spirit snakes. They bombarded the bloody giant below. Snapped. Zhu Yu's naked eyes couldn't catch the trajectory of the lightning bombardment at all. Countless lightning flashes once, and the attack has come. In the blink of an eye, a large area of scorched black appeared on the bloody titan below. -2021. -2120. -1999. These lightning attacks were extremely fast, and they struck out continuously. Tiny electric arcs flickered on the bloody titan's body, making crackling noises. Every time they were struck, their advancing bodies stopped suddenly, and they were completely paralyzed to the point of being unable to move. Looking at it from Zhu Yu's perspective, they stood motionless like wooden men, still struck by the lightning from the sky. Pipey. Suddenly, Zhu Yu saw that the city of steel was on. At the top of a defense tower with a strange and mysterious appearance, a dazzling light suddenly lit up. He suddenly stared. Is this defense tower also involved in the attack? Sure enough, the next moment, he saw that a circular lightning quickly formed. Chi-chi. The blue-white electric arc kept beating, like a dexterous water snake. In the blink of an eye, it hit the chest of a bloody titan. Immediately, a large scorched scar appeared on his chest. And, in the next second, the ball of lightning turned into streaks of lightning that spread out, directly covering half of the bloody titan's body. The lightning flashed for a moment. This bloody titan crashed to the ground. Pipey. Immediately afterwards, balls of lightning rolled towards the bottom. Each attack targets a different blood titan. These lightning balls are like a sharp weapon for harvesting life, killing all the bloody titans. Accompanied by one huge bloody titan after another, it fell to the ground. At this time, Zhu Yu looked around. In the entire war zone, the figure of the bloody titan was completely gone. Zhu Yu was completely shocked. In less than a minute, the bloody titan, which seemed invincible to him, was easily dealt with like this. I can't believe it. He took several deep breaths before slowly recovering. At this moment, there is no attack from the bloody titan. The city of steel quickly spread its defenses outward again. These catastrophic biological groups that he thought were difficult to deal with were completely slaughtered, without any ability to resist. On the ground, there were already piles of fallen items, and he was very greedy to see them. However, he knew very well that those items had nothing to do with him, and he didn't even dare to covet them. He opened the chat channel, glanced at it and found that the topic of discussion was still the city of steel ahead. Immediately, he silently uploaded the video he just shot. After sorting it out, he cut the video into 2 parts and posted one part first. Wow, another new video. Zhu Yu is awesome. Haha, I can watch disaster creatures being slaughtered again. Yeah, the video of the massacre was really cool to watch. All the people who were following the chat channel immediately clicked on the video. At the beginning of the video, the camera was aimed at the projection of the 5 disaster gates. Beside the projection, huge bloody titans attacked the city of steel. Every step they took, it was as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking. Seeing this, Everyone couldn't help exclaiming, "There is such a terrifying monster. I'm afraid any one of them can destroy their base." However, what these monsters are about to face is the Iron City with perverted defense towers. Soon, they reach the attack range of the defense tower. When everyone thought that these bloody titans would be instantly killed like other calamity creatures, there was a scene that made them dumbfounded. They dragged the huge iron ball and directly shook the attack of the defense tower, and they were completely unscathed after a few waves. Just when everyone wanted to continue watching, the video stopped abruptly, making people very uncomfortable. Immediately, everyone was blown away. Why did it disappear when I saw half of it? What about the follow-up? If you don't post the follow-up, there will be no ding ding. These monsters look too scary. They look twice as tall as my city wall. My God, is this the monster projected from the Calamity Gate? It's too strong. It's very strange. Why haven't I heard of such a powerful monster before? It's weird. Those people I met are all dead. Who told you? I really want to know how the Iron City defends against these monsters. Such a powerful monster, the City of Steel should not be able to defend it. The City of Steel will not be destroyed in the future. Even such perverted defense towers can't beat those monsters. Is there any hope for human beings? Just when everyone was discussing, Zuyu finally sent out another part of the video. Sent another video. Is this a follow-up? Why did you post it? All the flowers you've been waiting for are gone. Zuyu is good at whetting your appetite. While complaining, everyone hurriedly opened the video. Seeing the progress bar of the video for more than a minute, everyone's expressions changed. Could it be that Zuyu only posted half of the video again? The video unfolds, following the screen of the previous video. The Bloody Titan launched an aggressive attack, shaking the ground while walking, and everyone was sweating. Suddenly, a cloud of green mist enveloped them. The Bloody Titan that was advancing suddenly slowed down, its body began to fester, and 3,000 to 4,000 damage points appeared on its head. Seeing this, everyone's eyes widened. What kind of defense tower is this? It's even more perverted than the previous one. The video continued, and they saw corpses explode one after another, and finally all the Bloody Titans in this area were wiped out. Before everyone recovered from the shock, the video continued to play, and their mood suddenly fluctuated and fluctuated. The flames soaring into the sky, the rain of flames falling from the sky, and the lightning that was like a thunderbolt came to the world. Everyone was dazzled by seeing it, and they almost doubted that they were dead. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.